I see dead people.
Hot shit.
Here's Johnny.
Stop.
We have such sights to show you.
Bring the motherfucking ruckus. Fuck you too.
So, you know what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm gonna start this episode with. You had told me before we started recording.
Yep.
That you had a second nightmare about this narrative.
So it's hard to call it a nightmare, right? And it's hard to call it an acid flashback. But it's definitely somewhere in between those two, like, dream-esque things. And it is up to 3 at this point.
It is up to 3.
Yeah. So I obviously I'm thoroughly invested in this story at this point. Mm-hmm. Like I'm 100% in whether I want to be 100% in or not.
Yeah. What is the subject of the nightmare?
Oh, just like weird acidy things.
Okay.
The first one.
So you haven't seen the mother?
No, I have not.
That's when I start getting concerned.
Yeah.
Is like, wait, you're dreaming about her now? The story is real.
Yeah,
that's
it's
just Tulpa level.
I'll say it's mostly just like dreaming about, like, you know, maybe not my specific experiences with the substance in the past, but like potential future interactions with the substance. You know,
okay.
things like that.
Like
the first one, it was I got drugged, and they laced me with LSD to steal like an object that I had with me.
Yeah.
You know, and then all of a sudden I was down this acid trip inside of a dream. Mm-hmm. You know?
Oh, yeah. Your dreams are fucking crazy when LSD is still in your system. Mm-hmm. I've only ever had the pleasure of partaking in the substance under varied examples of complete commitment towards something. So it's like,
sure, yeah.
I'm at Disney, we don't have a park day, and we just want to hop hotels. Apparently we're going to do acid because that sounds fun.
Sure.
And we did that.
Yeah. And
we did end up going to Magic Kingdom that night. I don't know why we didn't start there, but that's where we ended, and that's fine. And then the next time was about 2 or 3 years later in California when I was with them, and he had like residual, like leftover, and we did it one morning of going to Universal, but we stayed there to do Horror Nights, and I just remember telling myself, like, I'm fine doing it, guys, I'll take my tab, but if I'm still feeling this by Horror Nights, I'm letting you guys know that's probably going to be a bad time.
Yeah, for everybody involved.
For everybody involved, and luckily it wasn't a super heavy tab. No one had a super heavy dose of it. It was very much residual. And for the life of me, I think we doused it. We doused whatever spark with weed smoke.
Yeah, yeah.
We chose to get high instead of trip. I just remember, like, we took a break, we went back to the car, Horror Nights was going to start in like an hour or two, and we were like thinking about getting something to eat at City Walk out there, and we were just like, yeah, I'm not really, whatever trip I had been over for hours at that point, and smoking weed is just going to be like a let's roll into Horror Nights kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, both times I've done acid, I've been 1,000% committed to doing something, so it has to be like, I'm a level with you. I don't think I'd ever be able to do it now. I think I'm just in a completely different place, and I don't think it would be
wise.
Yeah, beneficial. I feel kind of the same way about shrooms, but I'm more optimistic about shrooms. I keep telling myself, like, with shrooms, there's an opportunity to have a pleasant interaction, a heartfelt, organic reaction, something that melds you to the planet and makes you feel comforted and safe and optimistic. But then there's also that part of me that's like, Yeah, but if you're not in a good mental state, then it's just gonna fucking...
Suck either way.
Yeah, it's gonna dovetail the entire high, the entire trip. So it's like, would I do mushrooms again? Yeah, probably. If I were to do it recent to today, it would probably be a bad time.
Sure.
And I also
But not every day is a mushroom day.
I also think what I just described as being one melded with the planet is exactly what the mother wants me to think.
Mm-hmm.
I think she is aware.
Mother
that I
horse
feel
eyes propaganda.
MHE, I just think she knows that that's how I feel. And she's asking me to come back and do more mushrooms so that she could accept me into her organic interface. And by that, I mean earth vagina.
Mm-hmm.
You want to start by rolling through the list?
We'll recap.
The recap list. I'm not going to go into huge detail about the first 20, because we already did that on the last episode, but I will do a brief mention of them, just so that we remember what they were.
Yeah. So weren't, like, most of them the investigator?
Correct. Chapter 1, MK Ultra, plus LSD. Chapter 2, Vietnam. Chapter 3, Artigas portals, incident zones, chitinous cruciforms. Chapter 4, Soviets dosing their own people. Chapter 5, talking about segmentation. Chapter 6, Bible shit, the Holocaust. Chapter 7, first person to build a flesh interface. Chapter 8, flesh interface definition. Chapter 9, Novaya Zemlya, the huge interface in the Arctic that almost popped the planet. This goes into Chapter 10. Chapter 9 is describing what happens when they open. Chapter 10 is describing what happened with Novaya Zemlya. 11 is describing that kids are better. 12 is realizing that the Soviets were the first one to find out that kids were better. 13 is us dosing a Vietnam village. 14 is someone coming back from an interface. Chapter 15 is mention of weird shit going on in Japan and experimentation at Holocaust camps. Then the first author note happens, and it's the first mention of Mother Horse Eyes. 16 is the Manson Family Magical Space Pussy Part 1. 17 is starting to describe what an interface does to the people around it, or what it feels like. 18 is the first description of Mother Horse Eyes. 19 is talking about what going into an interface feels like. 20 is the part 1 of the Iwo Jima island, them trying to get there. And then we have our next author note, which is talking about Philip K. Dick and how his stuff felt LSD driven. 21, now starting with what we did last episode, so I can describe this in a little bit more detail instead of just bullet points. 21 was the part 2. It's They Crawl Up the Mountain. It's the part 2 of the Iwo Jima. And it's the American soldiers getting to the top of the mountain to meet the Korean guy, and he's spouting Bible banger shit, because the rest of the Korean soldiers who tried to head off the interface got caught down there in the interface, and they had morphed with it, and they were a part of it then. 22, Michael Jackson, talking about his LSD-driven narrative, his medication, his history, how quotes of his songs kind of dive into the dimension of Mother Horse Eyes from a certain perspective. 23 was the finish of Magical Space Pussy, number 2. The neo-Nazi narrative where he gets dragged out there by gunpoint and says go in there, and he does, and he describes like a flesh-filled room full of arms, eyes, mouth, legs, teeth, XYZ that just tear him apart, and then he just wakes back up outside, and it's just like, okay, so that's the process. An interface is going into this thing, going into the fucking grinder, and if you're an adult, it feels like you're being taken apart in like one nightmare sequence of laughing and crying and screaming. But if you're a kid, it's completely different. You get the mother horse eyes treatment where she tries to take care of you, kind of, but it's like dreamlike, it's crazy, and then at some point when you assimilate, you wake back up in reality. Mm-hmm. So like those are the two sides of the coin, and we see it firsthand with this guy being reborn and talking about being reborn. 24 was the North Korea situation, where the U.S. government became aware of interface opening in North Korea, and it was like the biggest one they've ever seen before. It was like football field distance, and they kept it in a fucking warehouse, like underground.
Yeah.
25 is How Do I Explain Mother, and it's one of the kids who's come out the other side from an interface, describing how she met Mother Horse Eyes and what the experience was like. Mm-hmm. So the idea is that when she went in there, it was like going to school and coming home, and instead of your family, it's just Mother Horse Eyes in the kitchen being fucking weird with her fucking animal parts and weird talking and chittering and shit. So she like hides in her room but has to come down and go to school, and when she comes back from school, sometimes there are other kids there. And they're all kind of just trying to deal with Mother Horse Eyes together. And it's a weird kind of acid trip nightmare because they're not sure why this fucking animal impersonating a human creature is trying to be their mother in some weird house.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, okay, this is her kind of blunting the experience so that kids don't know they're being fucking devoured by something. Mm-hmm. Which is nice. Good mom.
Yeah, that's the
Mother of the Year.
Yeah. That protector attitude.
Yeah. 26 is Breached the Underwater Chamber. It's the part 2 of the North Korea situation.
Yeah.
It describes the agents getting in there, realizing that the whales are being fed to the interface, but it was like hibernating at the time, and then they died gassing the entire chamber, the entire fucking place, which killed the interface and killed anyone in the building.
Yeah.
27 was I Dreamt I Was a Dog. And this one was kind of trippy. It was like a colonial era house with a mangy kind of dog who was walking their family back in a winter once, and its humans went on ahead, and it kind of lingered because it sensed something out in the mountains, and then a mother wolf approaches, and it tries to persuade him to join them, only for him to get flanked by 2 other wolves in the pack. And you realize that it was just kind of a trick, and that it was, even though it was like vaguely sexual and vaguely loving, and it was still kind of animalistic and carnal and still very much like a trap. Mm-hmm. Like they were hungry and they ate the dog. Like that's just, it's the nature. Yeah. And it's an allegory for the interface and for Mother, is how I felt about that personally. 28 is Bleeds, Sweats, and Pees LSD. This is the story about the government losing one of the reborn children. After it came out of an interface, someone in the CIA had taken it and brought it out of the facility and let it go. Mm-hmm. And they thought it would have just died, because most things died after getting out of the interface.
Sure.
But this one was found like 7 years later, grown to the young adult living in fucking Sweden.
Yeah.
And guess what they did? They just fucking abducted her back. Mm-hmm. They just took her back, which is sad.
Said, hey, thanks for escaping.
Yeah, we found you. Then we have an author note, and this is the Fairy Queen song, which it's just like, the lyrics are vaguely about Mother Horse Eyes, and you could tell it's a real song that was LSD driven, but it's hard to be like, is this actually connected, or is this just the author having fun with flavor text?
Sure.
29 is That's Interesting, which is the CIA testing on animals. And they note that birds are the best because they can imitate human noises. However, it got to be too creepy, so they killed all the birds.
Sure.
30 was called Incinerated, and it's someone talking about, in a kind of vague, rambling kind of way, pseudo-future narrative where an interface got wiped out by an orbital array, and he was just like, look at all these fucking segmented bodies, look at all this scorched earth, like, what kind of future did we rot kind of way. Then we get our second author note of last episode, and it was called Terraform, and it's the story about Magnus taking the kingdom of Judea and the church and the curtain, being told at the same time as them, the CIA, sending dead bodies through the interface.
Yeah.
So it kept switching between, and then we sent a dead body through, and then Magnus took the church. And then we realized if you kill someone and send a body through, they come back alive. And then Magnus pulled back the curtain and there was nothing there. And then this guy realized he was dead and died again.
Mm-hmm.
What a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
31 was called The Children Returned. And this is the revelation that the How Do I Explain mother was the kid who escaped, recounting what it was like inside the interface and how that dream that she had, it was 100% hers, so we now know where that narrative was coming from. The blood, sweats, and peas narrative. 32 is, oh no, this one is real. And this was one that we thought was like, you wrote it, where a guy describing his drunken night out, coming home and opening up his living room to an old woman sleeping on his couch. And he asks her why she's there, thinking like they slept together. And she's like, no, I just really wanted to hear the end of your story because you were telling a really awesome story. And he's like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Get out of my house. And she's like disappointed because she's like, no, you were telling a great story and we don't actually hear it. But I think it alludes to the fact that like even this guy doesn't remember the story because he was tripping and tapped into the Mother Horse-Eyes dimension and was telling such a, you know, a wonderful, happy, dimensional narrative, and this woman just wanted to hear the rest of it, and he's like, there is no good ending, it's all it's a hoax, and then the story ends. 33 is a dead cat wearing an old jockstrap, and that's a future narrative describing hygiene beds, and how people can choose to, like, professionally stream from their dreams within these hygiene beds.
Okay.
Like a Twitch streamer.
Yeah.
And how your real body is just degrading slowly in this fucking flesh sack.
Yeah.
But everyone is connected via some type of network, so you could, like, stream your dreams from your hygiene bed. And
yeah, like Matrix style. And we were like, that's fucking weird. I wonder if they're gonna get into that, and they do. 34 was called Complete Animals, and it's the beginning of the SS officer narrative where he's describing how they would offload Jewish prisoners at Treblenka. Yeah.
35 was Consider This Case, which is a continuation of the future narrative where they admit that most people who Twitch stream their dreams like this eventually die doing it because their bodies start to fucking degrade while they're because they don't get up and move around. They just fucking get consumed by this thing. Yeah. And it's a story of a girl who destroys her life doing that exact thing, and how they've come up with a new type of thing to help with the experience called Companion 12, and we don't know what that is yet. 36, Our Form is Our Story, the story to all the world. It's a vague rambling of someone predicting a future where shit's bad. They describe sleep as being good and mysteries being bad. It's all very vague. 37 is A Team of Doctors from Berlin. It's part 2 of the SS narrative, where he describes a new doctor coming to Treblenka to experiment on the Jewish prisoners. 38 is called Rachel Feels. It's a commercial about hygiene beds from the future and how they're coming out with new products that help people feel while they're inside their dreams. It's like, Rachel Feels, can you?
Yeah.
Like, 39 is a rather perverse request. It's part 3 of the SS narrative where the officer realizes that the new doctor has a Jewish assistant, helping him, and it's implied that the Jewish assistant has been reborn via interface, and that he is having conversations with quote-unquote God in his head about what other Jewish applicants they should send into the interface and kind of quote-unquote save from being executed at the camp.
Sure.
And he has this conversation with this guy being completely false, just being like, yeah, you're all dirty Jews. But in the narrative, he's interested because he doesn't know what they're doing back there. We know it's an interface.
Mm-hmm.
The author of the SS narrative does not. He doesn't know what's going on back there. And then lastly, 40 was Mother Babylon, which is another vague rambling of a future where everyone is connected via interface, via flesh network, and the entire world is overtaken by like organic structures in like a nightmare landscape. So that's our complete recap of everything we've read so far, summarized in 10 minutes?
Yeah.
So it's like we're gonna hit halfway. This is the middle episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because I assume we're gonna tell it in 5 parts, 20 chapters per part. Whoever knows how long they're gonna be when we jump into it. I don't fucking know.
Assuming that it keeps the standard format all the way through.
Some stories are longer than others, you know?
Yeah. Doesn't turn into like a novel for the last like 3 or something.
Yeah, who knows? Like, a lot of this was written...
Drunkenly.
Yeah, admittedly. But up to a point, it was like published.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of time later, it got finished, and then they went back and the community went back and restructured it and realized where like the dates lined up.
Sure.
And how the author was injecting these little side parts into the ongoing parts.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't until later, like hindsight, that they started to put it together better. And where I'm at now is like, okay, we've been vaguely theorized to about the histories of this thing over time, relative time to us, that covers the last 40 years. And it's just like, at what point in past narrative are we going to catch up with future narrative? Are these going to all stay separate pieces? Are we going to continue getting past, present, and future? Or are we going to have a slow merger of the three? Are we going to see the investigator or the CIA guy talk about how they're talking about like infrastructure for this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us to the future. Are we going to talk about something that happens in the past that brings that infrastructure to the present narrative, that brings it to the future? How interconnected are we going to get? Are we going to start piecing this? Are we going to start piecing this, or is it going to continue to just hop
be kind of
around
sporadic?
more?
I do have a feeling it's going to be continue to hop around, simply because this would be such a strange story to even want to start interconnecting. You know, like all these people are being ripped apart across all lives of history.
Yeah.
And the thing that's connecting them isn't necessarily like the people. It's the flesh interfaces.
Right.
You know, it's the mother horse eyes.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to have a reason why
It's
Billy
a
meets
spider
Johnny.
web. Yeah. It's a spider web, but I think if there is a
I mean,
if
I'm
there
sure
is a
they'll
narrative
still
structure,
be more like touching each other.
That's what I mean.
Just not.
Is it going to start informing each other is what I'm interested in.
Yeah, sure.
Are we going to get to a point where, Jewish guy meets, Swedish girl, kidnapped girl? Are we going to get to a point where this becomes something else? Or is this just going to keep kind of pushing the boundaries of what we're currently reading? Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with either. I just think one is more interesting than the other.
Sure.
Especially if we start to understand mother's intentions more.
Yeah.
Because I think that's another thing that's
Well, I think
vaguely
I'll
theorized,
say-
that she just wants to connect everyone, that she just wants to be the god to the
Yeah,
people.
I was gonna say,
you know?
it's almost implied that she's a doomsday machine.
Yes,
You know?
but to what end? I'm just
Yeah.
like, if everyone's connected and you're devouring everyone, that's a finite resource, which
Yeah.
means it's going to run out at a certain point. So, like, are we cattle or are we an infection? Like,
Mm-hmm.
are we something you're trying to blot out, or are we something you're trying to spend? And that's where I'm like, that could be interesting too.
Sure.
So I think we're starting with 41.
Yeah.
That checks out from having done 20 each prior section. Math would suggest that that's where we are. Now I just must...
Both math and marijuana would
Math-
suggest 41.
41. Yo. This is called the Black Jesus narrative.
Okay. How many parts are there to this one?
I think I saw 3.
Okay.
Yes, there are 3 and they are pretty far apart. 41. I feel like you should read this.
Okay.
Because the title is The Worst Thing a Black Man Can Do.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
We're not gonna... There's not gonna be commentary. We're just gonna read
go
this.
in. We're going in.
just gonna read this part.
Should I do this in a southern accent?
Please no.
The worst thing a black man can do is go to church on Sunday. We're not supposed to do that. In the old days, before Jesus paid for our sins, we'd be put to death for idolatry. But now, you see them all dressed up in their suits, and the girls are in dresses, with their booty all hanging out. They got coochie hanging out of the dress. At
Yeah.
church!
Hallelujah.
They going in there like it's a club. That's not what God wants. He wants us to dress modestly, because we are God's chosen people.
I don't know about that.
But they don't know this. They eat crab and shrimps and shrimp platters, go to Red Lobster, all you can eat shrimp, $9.99. They don't follow the law. Then they go into church and worship this picture of a white Jesus. That's idolatry.
Oh.
That picture of Jesus with the long, soft hair, the good hair, that's not Jesus. That's actually a man named Caesar Borgia. Borgia.
You're awful with names, so just take one of them and run
Yeah.
with it.
The real Jesus had curly hair, black hair, because he was black.
Hell yeah.
He was a Jew. You have to understand what's going on in the world. Right now they have satellites. Oh, Jesus Christ. Right now they have satellites in space, and they have weapon systems, atom bombs, everything. And which way they pointed? They not pointed down here on Earth. They pointed out into space. Why? Because the nation of the world, America, the UN, they're all waiting for something to come from space. Watch, it's coming. They're gonna try to destroy it. The Battle of Josephite. See, there is a thread, a long history. The Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Romans, America, the slave owners, it's all one. Do you know who the Nephilim are? They're mentioned in the Bible,
Yeah.
but only twice. You have to understand the mystery of the Bible to understand what they are. The first time they get mentioned is in the story of the flood. It says in Genesis 6:4, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same become mighty men, which were old, men of renown. These giants were Nephilim. Nephilim is the original Hebrew word in the Torah. You have to understand Hebrew to know the mystery of the Bible. Nephilim are the children of the sons of God, who are fallen angels. Angels came down and had sex with human women and gave birth to Nephilim, people who are half man and half angel. The angels looked down and saw the people, the original man, the black woman, the nice bodies, the nice booties, the thick legs, and they got them a piece of that. I'm serious. They said, we angels, we can do what we want.
This is just where am I telling me what he thinks about on the daily.
So they got some. I try and get some every day.
He's not reading a story anymore.
No, this is my diary.
This is his diary, yeah.
A little later, in Genesis 6:12, it says, "And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way onto the earth. And God said unto Noah, The end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth." And that is how the flood came about. All this mixing of flesh. Now, what if I told you that the children of the Nephilim are still among us? That they are renowned, as the scriptures say? That our scientists, our bankers, our leaders, our inventors are Nephilim? Bill Gates, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs. These men are part fallen angels, and they are corrupting the flesh, like the Bible says, by doing all this gene splicing, mixing chromosomes, because they're made from mixed flesh between angel and human. So they're all for everybody mixing, men with men, girls with girls, whatever. Pretty soon, you're gonna see some chicks with two heads walking down the street, and we're supposed to say it's cool.
That is cool.
I won't say no more because I don't want to get banned. The Nephilim control the internet. I'll just say, I seen it myself. I seen how they mix the flesh. Experiments. The government. Making new things. It's out there.
That's
Epstein.
yeah. I was gonna say
Epstein.
Yeah. This guy
Yeah, he's...
This guy's a good time, honestly.
Yeah.
He's
quintessential conspiracy guy.
theorist. Yeah. I'm okay with it because I think there's...
I think the kids call him Unk.
Unk.
I think that's...
It is.
I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that would be... He would be Unk status.
The thing about that kind of narrative in a story like this is the fact that it belongs.
Oh, yeah.
Like...
Well, especially knowing that there's two more, like Unk goes on an acid trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm of two minds about it. I want to say that this guy is going to start tapping into what is actually going on, or this guy is going to do vague ramblings about what he thinks is going on every time we talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be funny to see if he actually taps into an element of the truth and gets at least an element right.
Well, I think that's part of the story is they all have to have some element or else they wouldn't belong.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Really?
I think this guy is tripping face and tapping into different realities and tapping into different perspectives, and everyone's putting it online because I just think it's a radio that's just...
Yeah.
Sometimes you get
You're
fucking...
at 92.4 versus 92.5.
You hear the golden oldies, then you go to fucking... you get a number network, then you get fucking bingo, then you get fucking country, then you get... I don't know, fucking...
Weather.
Yeah, what you get weather, you get local news, you get fucking podcasts. You know, it's just it is a dial, and the frequency has the ability to give us bullshit. But what I think is interesting, and I think we talked about this at the end of the last session, is Because I felt like there were some last time that we read that were kind of bullshit, and I was like, if they are standalone and that is all that they possess, then it really might not have anything to do with our story. It might seriously just be context.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard to see where these are going to go, but I think part of the fun is trying to figure it out yourself. To do the actual crossword puzzle with it. Alright, this is our second time jumping back into someone named Ben. For Ben's narrative. I'm tempted to see, was Ben the drunk guy that you got to read before? 'Cause a dead cat wearing a jockstrap. No, this is the future narrative. This is the guy describing the hygiene beds.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ben is a future narrative, and we're reading him next. Dead cat wearing a jockstrap guy. Oh, hell yeah. This title is Finger Blasting.
Perfect.
It is still May 8th of 2016.
Okay.
And it is 11 at night. Eastern time. In the training curriculum for becoming a readjustment specialist, they omit finger blasting entirely. Which is odd.
Yeah.
Considering what a routine part of the job it is. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the middle of a conversation with a client only to have her slip her finger in her shorts and start diddling away.
What?
My clients, long-term session heads, people who've been connected to a direct sense feed for multiple year spans, are practically feral. Even though the feeds are supposed to be all about empathy and social connection, everything is so mediated that they lose the capacity for normal social interaction. If their session begins at an early enough age or goes on long enough, shit gets truly weird.
Yeah.
The readjustment client is a stimulation addict. They crave easy, immediate stimulation. Some turn to drug use.
Yeah.
But they usually require near lethal or outright lethal amounts to properly stimulate themselves. Others turn to masturbation. The readjustment client has no patience if they're uncomfortable. They want immediate relief. If that entails an indiscreet bout of an orgasm, then so be it. Almost all my clients are women. The female clients tend to choose male specialists, and the male clients tend to choose female specialists. In the feeds, they often surround...
Right down there.
Probably. In the feeds, they often surround themselves with coteries of admirers of the opposite sex, so they insist on opposite sex specialists. This is an unhealthy impulse, but we must meet our clients halfway. Our job is to slowly retransition them away from being fake aberration sponges and into being functioning adults. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I am trained to think of myself as a paid big brother. Perhaps there's an inherent contradiction. I must be stern without being overly judgmental. I must be empathetic, but effective. I cannot coddle them. The feed coddles them. That must end. The work could be described as Sisyphean, trying to reculture a person after years of that whiz-bang feed simulation is like pushing a heavy boulder up a hill. And occasionally, the boulder is masturbating.
Yeah. I mean...
Hell yeah, brother. Did you hear my cat snoring upstairs? It was like
I thought it
rumbling.
was this cat.
No, it was rumbling the fucking... No, I got a cat upstairs that snores so fucking loud, he was rumbling the floor. Alright. Next up. I mean, how did you feel about that one? It makes sense.
Yeah. I mean,
if you are
definitely...
plugged into your phone and it's just like sex, 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 and you wake up and you're not fucking stroking your clit,
yeah.
you know, then we got problems. Alright. Up next, we have 43. Oh shit. Here you go. You get to read the SS officer.
Okay. This is the last.
No, there's still multiple
There's still-
SS left. This
Okay.
one is called An Extremely Unusual Fragment.
Because this is the third SS, right?
It might even be the fourth.
Okay. Okay.
We've gotten into a couple
Yeah,
of them.
yeah. I asked the Jew what sort of procedures they were performing in their laboratory. But at this point, we were all interpreted by several members of Dr. Engel's team, and they hurriedly ushered him away. I don't know if I can do that the
I
whole
was
time.
gonna say, I don't know if you can. Is that how I sound?
Not really. It's not that long. That might be What do you think?
So dial
Go
it
for it.
back.
Like a
dial
little
it
bit?
back just a hair, but you can stay with the accent.
Although there were still many unanswered questions, my curiosities were largely satisfied.
Yeah, Einstein.
They were testing a new chemical and probably performing vivisections and such to ascertain its physical effect. Perhaps the bodies were burned separately because they required special handling due to the presence of the chemical. There was nothing especially sinister in that. It was actually rather considerate of them. Last night, shortly before I was about to retire for the day, one of the Ukrainians came to me with a small package wrapped in cloth.
Yeah.
It was his cock.
Dude, my God.
About the size of a loaf of bread. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
With an irregular shape. He was very excited. Oh, we already knew that. He unwrapped the package, and inside there was a fragment of a pale white bone. It was extremely unusual fragment. It was sort of a rounded carapace, like part of a giant skull, but with 5 round holes in it. Much like eye sockets, but obviously too numerous to be so. Studded throughout the fragment were extrusions that looked like molar teeth. Looking at it, I could not place it as part of any animal I had ever seen.
Is this the cruciforms, the crustaceans, the things
Yeah,
that come
yeah,
from
the-
the interface sometimes? Okay.
I asked the man where he got it, and he said it had retrieved it from near the laboratory's cremation pit just an hour before.
So it's a dead one.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they probably burned it.
They burned it, so they killed it, but this is what's left. It's fucking
Mhm.
exoskeleton.
The piece itself did not appear to have been burned, as it had the meaty stink of death about it. I asked him a few more questions, but he knew very little else. Still, he insisted that the bone fragment was from something monstrous and unnatural, which they were creating in their laboratory, and that I should shut down their experiments. One of my SS subordinates immediately set to thrashing the Ukrainian with a baton for presuming to advise me of my duties, and with that, the conversation came to its natural conclusion.
Dead!
Damn Ukrainians. We support Ukraine. Hashtag
Hell
peace,
yeah.
peace upon the world.
Hell yeah, dude.
Unless you're a demon.
Oh.
I took the fragment with me and spent a while in turning it over in the dim lamplight of my quarters. It was indeed otherworldly, and as the Ukrainian had said, with a kind of wild fear in his eyes, it was truly monstrous. Despite the Ukrainian's impudence, I decided to take his advice. This had gone all too far. Whatever the High Command might say, I mustn't let this camp be overrun by secretive madness, but must maintain a spirit of rational cooperation. I would insist on fully inspecting the laboratory first thing tomorrow morning.
Nice.
I lay down to sleep and was soon visited with a dream so intense that I did not feel like I was sleeping at all. At first, the bed in which I lay seemed to rise up from the floor and float ever upward through a large glowing tunnel which was painted with all manner of designs, from paisley to topographical lines to various kinds of calligraphy in unknown languages. After this, the dream became a series of absurd images, ever changing and blending into new images and shapes. Many of these shifts struck me as clever or absurd, and I found myself laughing maniacally at it all. Finally, all these desperate images appeared at once before me and began to rotate around each other as part of a fantastic wheel. And slowly I began to suspect that they were combining them all. Some sort of grand secret would be revealed. Just as this notion occurred to me, all the images began to coalesce into one final image of stunning clarity. It was the image of a woman. Or something that was mainly a woman, but also other creatures.
Oh shit.
Who was vastly large and seemed to tower over me miles in the sky. Who looked down on me with my flimsy inhuman eyes. No, with her filmy inhuman eyes. The skin was inhumanly pale, but she wore a crown of exquisite thorn flowers, and blood ran in shimmering red streams down her skin. She was pregnant, vastly pregnant, with a stomach so swollen it was like she sat upon a huge mountain of distended flesh. I could sense within her belly there was a hive of activity, of something, or many things, pulsing, squirming feverishly. Soon the belly burst open like a ripe fruit, and rivers of blood poured out, and a revolting mass of fleshy tubes came spilling out, unraveling and tearing open to set hundreds and thousands of monstrous infants who were both human and not human, who had the same filmy eyes as the mother, who was slathered and dripping with blood.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kenny. I didn't do that.
I mean, that's one way to have a nightmare.
The question is, was it mother?
I mean, obviously the beast kind of makes me think it is, and obviously the pregnancy means it's a mother of some sort.
She was mainly a woman, but also other creatures. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like mother.
And like he said that it was towering miles above him, so he definitely couldn't look at like
all of it as inscrutably as the kids were able to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids were able to have intimate closeness
like
to her. So like it's
communication.
Yeah, what they tried to think was communication. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought, because two big things happened in that chapter. And I want to say, your accent wasn't bad. It floated into like vaguely Swedish/European at times.
Yeah.
But it was good. You sounded like an Einstein-ish doctor of sorts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was going for. Is like go get me my beaker so I can measure everything out. Come on now.
Yeah.
Like early 30s.
Yeah.
You know, but like definitely has like that old man mentality.
I hear you. But two big things happened in that one. The fact that he finally got fed up with not being included in the doctor's lab to understand the interface research that's going on in there that we know is happening in there, but he doesn't know that's happening in there. And alternatively, that mother showed herself without an interface. No, without an interface.
Oh, sure.
I assume maybe him coming into contact with a cruciform, even a dead one,
that
maybe
probably
had a residual energy about it, because he's the only one who touched it in that room, like uncovered.
Yeah.
So, if he tapped into it and he has seen Mother, that only lists like a small handful of people in this narrative that have seen her. Yeah. And like, in the craziest way, I want her to tear him apart. You know, I want him to go through an interface. so that he can meet Mother for real, and she could show him how she feels about adults. Alright, we're on 44, which is the cat's narrative. Again, this is part 2 of the cat.
Okay.
This one's called The Oily Ones, and from the first time I read for the cat, this one is equally short. But for the first time I read for the cat was just kind of expressing disdain for the things around it, and it was coming up with weird words for which to describe things. Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily think this cat has been through an interface, but I think we're picking up on a cat's perspective of something interface adjacent.
Yeah.
So, the oily ones. The oily ones lack all harmony. They are neither silky nor subtle. They are slow and stupid and loud, evilly loud, arrogantly, thoughtlessly, senselessly loud. Night and day they make noise. Their unnatural things make noise. They cry to each other like kittens. They are far larger and stronger than any of our kind, but they are more hairless than the newly born, and they cry like hungry whelps. It is evil. It is an abomination. They make dead things live. Things which do not have the smell of life should not live, but these things are touched by the oily ones, and they live and move. This is evil. Unnatural magic. Their unnatural things come in all different shapes and contain deadly mysteries and tricks and traps. Some are invisible. Some are faster than sight. Some never sleep. Some cut and some claw. These unnatural things lack all harmony, just like the oily ones themselves. I've seen the deadly darkness of their magic. I've seen our kind of crushed and smeared by their things. I've seen our kind disappear inside their things, never to be seen again. Once I saw a kitten who was struck by their magic, who made bloody foam from their mouth for 3 days, died in agony. Yes, I have known sleeplessness. I have known them as evil. And this would seem to be all, but there is more. There is more. There is mystery. There is the mysterious smell of the oily ones, the smell by which we know them. It is both awful and alluring, disgusting and entrancing. It smells like the sweet, oily fat that coats the heart of a pigeon, the best part of the flesh. We find ourselves drawn to it, drawn to them, and there is their food, which can contain dark magic, but also feeds many of us, and truly tastes wonderful and righteous, and does not scuttle, but always sleeps, and is easy to hunt. Even more mysteriousness is their kindness, for it is they alone of all the living things who show our kind any affection, who bring us food, as if we were their young, as if they are our mother. How could this be? How could these evil beings show us affection? How could they show us more affection than the world itself, who is of our kind? This is the central mystery. Ever since my kitten died, this has become my obsession. I have watched them closely. I have looked into the strange places where they hide, where they appear and disappear, the places full of mysterious lights and smells and 10,000 forms of evil and wickedness. If I am to capture this mystery, if I am to feed on its sweet, oily heart, I must go inside one of these places. I must go through one of their portals. I think the cat's perspective is more interesting to me now, because I think this is a cat with a vendetta. This is a cat with conviction.
Yeah.
I only know cats to be lackadaisical and carefree, and to have a sensitive hierarchy.
Sure.
I don't know what cats think about, and to put them in this kind of place of hatred.
Yeah.
That just
What are they
say,
capable of?
yeah, that just say, I only deal with people because they feed me. Like, I only deal with, like, because I want to have a cushy life. I don't want to be outside. I don't want to die in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, I'm fascinated with how much I hate them. I love that they hate mystery because curiosity kills the cat.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's a stereotype at this point. So it is interesting, even like looking at my cat as I'm reading this, like she wants nothing to do with us.
No. Yeah.
But it's so funny that like she doesn't want to leave either. She wants to keep an eye on us. She wants to know that we're here. But until she needs us for something, she's going to stay where she wants to stay. And she's probably calling us oily, sad, pathetic beings. Mm-hmm. Just like this story is. And we're making noises and we're talking loudly and it's probably bothering her. But she's dealing with it because she thinks we're dumb. Mm-hmm.
We are dumb.
We are dumb. No, it's fine.
We are.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that you feel this way, Kat. Honestly, if anything. I don't think she's had babies, so maybe she doesn't hate us as much. But
sure.
I think the perspective of the cat in the story that suggests that maybe she's going to go through an interface. Mm-hmm. If she's talking about a portal, she's either talking about a TV or she's talking about an interface.
Yeah.
And I don't think the cat is going to run through a TV. My cat tries to every night. Mm-hmm. Anyway. Next part, 45. I like the title, but whose perspective is it? Part 3, final part of the Mother Horse Eyes narrative.
Final part, okay.
Final part of the Mother Horse Eyes narrative. Child, fetch me my bag. I need flesh.
I sit in my room, watching bright specks of dust float through the sunlight from the window. The summer heat is pressed against the glass. Somewhere down the street, a lawnmower whines. The air is stale. The corners of the room are filled with damp shadows. My toys lie on the floor, scattered. I hear
this is Lisa, if I remember correctly. This is the kid that got away.
Yeah.
That they found.
I hear the fractured music down the hall. A sound like wind chimes. A shudder goes through the old house, and I find myself rising. I am walking down the hallway, called to the other end. I smell her as I get closer.
Jesus.
Foul meat, gray hair, stomach acid. I walk in her room, and her bloody pieces are lying all over the floor. The strange flute music slowly coalesces into a melody, and the pieces rise and float like flies. The eyes are missing, still fleshy cavities. They come in from the hallway, floating over my head, settling into her face.
Jesus.
With a squishing sound, streams of blood falling like tears. The sideways pupil fixes on me. Child, fetch me my bag. I need flesh. I shake my head. I hate her. She leaps to me, grabs a handful of my hair, and slaps me across the face with her ragged daw's paw again and again. I scream and I cry. She lets me go. Sobbing, I go to the closet and get her big bag. We wait until night.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't want to. We better find out how Lisa got out of this fucking situation. I mean, it's one thing to hear her perspective of what she thinks happened inside of inside of the interface.
Because inside it's so distorted.
For this to be her life over there is like, well, how did you get out? Like, when were you let go? When were you consumed? When were you spit back out into our reality? Like, what? That wasn't it.
Yeah, I know.
That wasn't it. So, like, I'm just like, Lisa, what happened? Anyway, next one, 46. This one looked like future narrative because it sounds technical. No, this is the author's narrative. Yeah, this one says, coming back online.
What's the date?
The 11th, 4 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been just about 3 weeks.
Yeah, a couple weeks. This one's called Coming Back Online. And I do think it's the start of a new narrative, and it's called the narrator's narrative.
Okay.
But it might be the person who wrote the first two author's notes.
Yeah.
The one that suggests that I've been drunk and doing acid and I'm switching between perspectives. So who knows what this is going to say. But we'll find out.
Yeah, especially since the last couple artist notes were like, one was a song.
One was a song.
Yeah.
I think another was like a prophecy.
Yeah.
It was like a vague rambling.
Mm-hmm.
I call it coming back online. That moment when you first come out of a drunken blackout. It's always frightening.
Mm.
Oh my god. What's the next line?
Did I puke on my mattress?
No, say it.
Where am I?
That's the next line. What is this neighborhood?
See, that first response was a little too real.
It was, actually. You need to ignore that part of you. You need to say, where am I, instead. What happened to my face? Where's my wallet? Some people...
Dude. My keys. When I'm fucking, like,
That's
trashed...
probably for the best.
Well, I always end up at home, right? Oh, I should... Yeah. I pretty much always end up at home. I never drive, right? Don't drink and drive. Mm-hmm. But I'll just take my keys and, like, fucking throw them.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I can't find them for 2 fucking days, and I gotta go get the spare keys.
It's an actual problem.
Yeah.
It's an inconvenience. It's a fortunate inconvenience.
Yeah. Which, like, if I start drinking at home, I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's when, like,
you get
I'm going out with with people, or, like, I Uber back home, or you know.
Some people, when they drink enough to disable their short-term memory, immediately collapse into an immobile heap.
Me on Saturday.
This is the nature's failsafe. But I lack this feature. I can walk and talk and carry a tune, yet have no idea what's going on. I have never come back online to find myself up to any good. I have never emerged from a blackout to find that I have built a convenient spice rack, or delivered a moving speech about women's rights. It's always been a fucking calamity. The last time I came back online, I was standing in my front yard having a conversation with my parents. Even in my tottering state, I knew this couldn't be a good thing. I had no idea what we were talking about, why we were talking about it on my front lawn, at night. What time is it? Hoping for a clue, I waited for something to come out of my mouth, and here it was. Didn't you notice I'd never left my room? I've been living with you for 6 months. I think I've seen each of you twice. This was bad. I knew I shouldn't be saying something like this. It sounded terribly confessional. Ever since I had gotten fired and moved back in with my parents, I had been holed in my childhood bedroom, secretly drinking and basking in an unremitting sense of personal shame. This was all supposed to be a secret. As far as my parents knew, I was freelancing and getting back on my feet. This scene, this mad scene, was not part of that narrative. We were giving you your privacy. We didn't know you were getting drunk up there, my mother said.
Yeah, I remember my mom found the bottle of Jack Daniels in the basement.
This conversation was out of control. I should just tell them I'm going to bed. I should calmly bid them a good night. So I said, of course I was getting drunk. Fuck! I've been drinking every goddamn day for the last 10 years. What the fuck else would I be doing? This was a poor choice of words.
Do you have any alcohol?
This was not how one calmly bids others a good night. Oh, the look on my poor mother's face. That look stayed with me. That look, the fallen face of a tired woman, stayed with me as I laid in bed that night. It stayed with me as the alcohol wore off, as the night turned into queasy morning, as the hands began to shake, the brain tingle starts to set in, as the hell whispers began, as I waited for them to go to work so I could sneak a bit of relief from the liquor cabinet, as the awful day wore on, as we talked that night, as I packed my stuff up, as I went off to rehab the next day. My mother is almost 70 years old. She's small and stooped and old. When did she get so old? I thought I would be something by now. 33 years old, I thought. I would have something to show her, something to give back, something to make her proud. I thought I'd be a man, not a drunken failure. All those little soccer practices she took me to, all the swim lessons and therapy and errands and effort and love. What was it for? So I could be drunk and a sack of shit. Why am I so fucked up? Why did I require shore leave levels of liquor to operate properly? As I lay in bed in the rehab that first night, listening to the occasional moans of other patients, I asked myself these questions over and over. Soon, I found myself returning to the question I had been asking my entire life, the one I always retreated to in moments of self-pity, the one that seemed to hold some key to my dysfunction, the one I had always been afraid to ask my mom. What about that one summer when you were dead?
And that's the end?
And that's the end.
What the fuck?
What about that one summer when we were dead?
I mean, shit, if my mom died, I'd be an alcoholic too.
It's too early to know whether or not the narrator may or may not have interfaced.
Sure.
And may have thought his mom was Mother Horse Eyes for a segment of time. But
yeah,
that's my first assumption.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he gets drunk because he can't talk about it. Like, he remembers being a kid. He remembers Mother Horse Eyes, but he can't talk to his mom about it.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck is he gonna say?
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting that, like, it's a very realistic coping mechanism.
Yeah.
It's a very realistic, like, it's written very well, you know? How do you feel about the author's narrative?
I don't know, because there were some parts of it where, like, and I'll say this as someone who you know, self-proclaimed functioning alcoholic, right? And I'm friends with plenty of other functioning alcoholics, like plenty of people. The author seems to kind of write a single style of person as an alcoholic, right? Because this is now like the third character that's been like a drunkard a little bit.
I think this is the author. I think this is.
Oh, so this is the same as the first one.
This is the guy. Yeah, I think this is the guy who's been drunk. I mean, you're right. There is the one guy who like told the story to the old woman. Yeah.
So I don't know if part of that is just like writing from perspective or writing from like a stereotypical perspective that like they don't get it because they don't get it. You know?
There's parts of it that I feel like are written really well, and then there are parts of it I'm like, all right.
Yeah, like you know, the alcoholic doesn't always go, I need that sweet relief first thing in the morning, you know,
right.
like I have days where it's I wake up and I'm like, fuck dude, I can't, I gotta take a day off, you know, like,
yeah.
And then inevitably that night it's like, okay, I feel better now, you know, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but like just as many mornings as it's like, fuck, I need a drink right now, there's just as many where it's like, fuck dude, I gotta stop doing this to myself, you know.
you get to read a wonderful another part from the SS officer's perspective.
Okay. Let's get this accent tested out.
This one's longer, like much longer.
Okay.
So you maybe don't want to accent the entire time. This one is called Under the Weather. And we shall see if he's going to hold up
Let me
to
get
his...
some. Yeah, let me get some
if
more.
he's going to hold up to his plan that we heard last time.
The next day, I felt under the weather. The vivid dreams of... Oh, what the fuck is that? The vivid dreams of the precious night had left my mind feeling dull and exhausted. As soon as I left my quarters, I was greeted with the news that one of our Ukrainians had gone mad during the night and attempted to attack Dr. Engel's team in their quarters. It was none other than the one who had brought me the strange skull fragment.
Oh shit, okay.
After shooting him, they had come to the conclusion that he had somehow ingested some of their magical chemical, which they referred to as the Swiss invention. Engels insisted that I make an announcement to the camp. Anyone found ingesting this chemical under any circumstance, whether by intention or accident, will be summarily shot regardless of what they are, a prisoner or highway or even SS. This was by order of the High Command.
Which would be him.
Yeah. If he
Yeah,
ingested
he
it,
tripped. He tripped last night.
Yeah, but he didn't ingest it, he just touched the skull.
No, but like, I don't think the other dude ingested it either. I think it's just...
he just came in
I
contact.
think he came into contact with it.
Yeah. At this time, I was forced to admit to myself that was already obvious. I had somehow been dosed with the chemical in handling the bone fragment. My dreams had been a reaction to the poison. Looking at Engel's cold blue eyes, I tried to deduce the consequences of confessing to him. Despite his disagreeable haughtiness, he seemed like a rational, efficient man.
Dude, he's gonna shoot you
with
in
an
the face.
appropriate love of duty and country.
No, he's gonna shoot you in the face.
I had no doubt that he would murder me without hesitation. And I decided to keep my little nocturnal epiphany to myself.
Yes, good job.
Naturally, my curiosity in Engel's project had been aroused again. He apparently was working with a chemical which could induce temporary madness. The value of such a chemical was obvious. But what of this bizarre bone fragment? What had it come from? I couldn't help but feel that the creature, whatever it was somehow connected to the vision of the monstrous bloody mother.
A chitinous cruciform.
Again and again, her blood face appeared in my mind, her filmy eyes gazing down upon me, inhuman and imperious.
Hell yeah.
I attempted to contact the Jew again, but after our conversation, Dr. Engel's team guarded him jealously. He was never left alone. As the hot summer days went by, my curiosity about the matter grew to obsessive proportions. The monstrous mother visited me several more times in my dreams.
Oh, fuck.
Of the normal variety this time, but no less vivid and disturbing. I began serendipitously observing Engel's laboratory, which was guarded day and night, and I asked some of my men to do the same. To our knowledge, the bloody packages had ceased to emerge from within, but something strange began to happen. This new phenomenon was presumably occurring at all hours, but was imperceivable in the bustle of the everyday. When men were about and the gas chambers were operating, only at night and only when the fires were burning quietly could it be perceived. I first observed it shortly before dawn one muggy morning. As ridiculous as it might sound for me to be skulking about in my own camp, I did just that, slipping along the wall of the new gas chamber to come within a short distance of the laboratory. There I witnessed what others had reported to me. At fixed intervals, A sound emerged from the lab. It was very quiet, but not just my imagination. A creaking sound. The sound that many old houses and structures make as their materials shrink and swell from temperatures and moisture. But this came very regularly, every 4 or 5 seconds. Slowly, a realization crept upon me. I'm almost getting Scottish. The building was breathing steadily in and out. It was breathing. It was alive. This realization, which I'll admit was more of an unconfirmed intuition, filled me with a dread so strong that tears came to my eyes. There was nothing enormous and alive inside that building. The sight of death, bloody death, beyond most which men's imagination had left me unmoved. But the sight of life, this new and unnatural life, pressing against the walls of the building was enough to chill me. Again, I saw the face of the unholy mother in my mind, saw her eyes fill me eyes, saw a slight smile form on her lips between the streams of blood. That night, I could not sleep. Fortunately, the next day was our weekly day off, and I was able to spend most of the day in my quarters. It was abnormally, intolerably hot and humid. My thoughts followed disorderly circles around the revolting image of the mother, and I felt as if I was being revisited by the temporary madness brought on by the so-called Swiss invention. I had long loathed life at camp, but had accepted it as a tolerable hardship. But now the constant smell of the burning sickened me, and I felt I could take it no more. That afternoon, some of my men decided to go off to a nearby lake for a swim, and on a whim I accompanied them. I needed a reprieve from the heat. At the lake, I eased myself into the cold water, floated idly. Watching the clouds pass overhead, here there was nothing but the gentle teetering of nature. It had been here before our murderous camp had been built. It would be here long after, gentle and peaceful. I had been in the water for just a few minutes when I received the news. Group of prisoners had broken into the armory, smuggled weapons out, and a full-scale uprising occurring at the back of the camp. The rest of the day was a whirlwind. We raced back to the camp, and I found myself personally trading fire with the prisoners as all about buildings burned and everything was chaos. We called for reinforcements, managed to subdue the camp, and set out into the woods to catch the escapees. A fair number were intercepted, but over 100 escaped. This was an unmitigated disaster. Coming back into the camp after the hunt, I had only to look around at the faces of my men to know that I was now in a position of total disgrace. As calamitous thoughts raced through my head, I found myself walking towards Engel's laboratory. Deep black soot stains around the front door showed me that the interior had been burned out. All around the entrance lay the bodies of Engel's team, their white coats dyed fresh and red. They had been massacred. Engel himself had been stabbed or shot several times, and his throat had been slashed. And then there was the Jew. The Jew lay on the ground with one of my SS men standing over him, holding a rifle with a fixed bayonet. The Jew's abdomen had been bisected, and his bowels spilled about over the ground. They were now caked with dust. A few feet from him lay a kitchen knife. Apparently, he had stabbed Engel's whole team to death before being opened up by the bayonet. To kill a half-dozen men like this was no mean feat. My officer stood with one of his boots atop a loop of the Jew's intestine, sneering at him. Remarkably, the Jew was still alive and aware.
Hey, Jesus.
When I approached, he lifted his head, and I, for the last time, found myself caught in his strange gaze. We stood like this for a moment, staring at each other, inexplicable emotions flooding my mind. The Jew opened his mouth and croaked something. A bloody foam spilled out over his lips. He tried again. "Water," he said. I quietly instructed my men to get some water. He scoffed, and I clouted him about the head and screamed at him. He scurried off and returned a moment later with a large ladle of water. I took it and stooped down over the Jew and carefully tipped the ladle to his lips. Letting him drink, he drank carefully. I wiped the bleeding foam from his lips. All the while, I could not fathom why I was doing this except by the commandment of the man's pleading eyes. His lips trembled and he attempted to speak. I cradled his head and leaned close towards his words. "I know this is not God. I've killed them. But others, you must." He waited for him to continue, but he did not. "Must what?" I asked. "You've seen her. Your dream is the future." "The mother?" I asked. "The bloody woman?" "There is still time to stop her. You must. You must." And just like that, his life fled from him, and the glimmer in his eyes went dull. I sat, head gently on the ground again, and stood up. I looked to the burnout entrance in the laboratory. It was now unguarded. I could walk right in. A chill went through me at the thought, but I knew that I must. I walked to the entrance. Just inside was a curtain made of tarpaulin, concealing the interior. The smell of charred meat and petrol, which normally pervades the entire camp, had been giving me headaches and slowly driving me mad all the past year, was especially sickeningly strong here. With a trembling hand, I pulled back the curtain and looked inside.
Oh shit, that's where it ends.
That's where it ends.
Angles is dead, the Jew is dead,
Yeah,
but the SS
he's going
officer is told, your dream may come true, you still have time to stop it.
in. Yeah.
So you're right. I mean, in the last episode, you said something along the lines of, like, this is a prophetic apocalypse narrative.
Mm-hmm. It's coming.
Yeah. But has the future narrative already failed? Is the future narrative the world that people were afraid of? Or is the future narrative leading up to it? Is it pre or post?
Ooh, that's a question.
Because in my opinion, it's almost post.
Yeah.
Mother has already taken over the world. The flesh
that's
and
why
faces
people
are a capitalist rhetoric. It's now being sold to everyone. They're all partaking in it. And
Well, but
it's
that
a part
must
of
mean
society.
that either, she just
Or is
controls
this-
it all. She
Or
is
is
the
this
one
the
doing
weapon?
that.
Yeah, is this
Or
the weapon
she
or
was
is
defeated.
this preluding the weapon?
Yeah. Interesting.
I'm starting to think that it's post. I think
Yeah.
I'm starting to think the
I think
future
post
narrative
makes more sense.
I think the future narrative is we failed.
Yeah.
That someone in power made this a thing and now it's produced and it's stamped and it's packaged and it's out the door.
Yeah.
And they're being driven by Mother, but I think it's a means to an end. They're feeding her.
Yeah, they're feeding her more
people
flesh. Yeah.
through hygiene beds.
Yes.
Like that's the plate. That's the cocoon. It's a new product.
It's the easiest way to
But for the
to-
SS officer to start off as this evil, manipulative person, and for him to
I mean, he
almost
still
be
is.
but for him to be thrust into the story as almost a pivotal person of character growth, like
Well, yeah, it's because he
right.
if he
place,
turns
right
back
time.
now,
yeah,
he gets every badge of honor he could ever possibly think of having stripped from him.
True.
Right? He's the one who lost control of the base.
True.
That's how he would be remembered if
True.
he turns back now.
But it's also, there's a part of him that, like, wants to know.
Yeah.
There's a part of him that wants to know what the mother is and what's going on, what Angles was doing in there, and what's actually in there. I mean, we know it's an interface, but what is he going to figure out?
Yeah.
And we're going to find out. It rolls right into him, and it's the last part of the SS officer's narrative.
Okay.
It's called Surely. I am serious. Don't call me Shirley. Now I have to think of how I was doing my German accent. Alright. There, mostly hidden in the darkness, was a great inexplicable monstrosity. Everything had been burned and blackened, but still I could see human shapes and forms. Arms, fingers, faces, jaw bones, teeth, eye sockets, all burned, reduced to ash clinging to bone. But this was no pile of burned bodies. I had seen piles of burned bodies. I had seen mountains of burned bodies. This was something different. Human parts were coming out of the walls and the floor and the ceiling. Arms and legs hung like stalactites. Faces came out of the floor. They were fused together in ways that could not be possible. At seeing this, I was filled with the strongest sense and a possible urge to turn away, to back out of the awful laboratory and run for my life. But I heard again the Jew's final words. You must. And I knew this to be a command. I went inside. As the curtain closed behind me, I was enveloped in almost total darkness. Bones cracked beneath my boots. Near the back, I saw a shaft of light where one of the old doors had been sealed up, but had become partially open again. I walked toward it, stepping over unspeakable crunching shapes, brushing past nightmarish forms. I reached out to the crack of light and pulled back a board which was covering the door. Though I was not able to rip it free, I pulled it loose enough to let in a considerable amount of light, enough to reveal what sat at the back of the laboratory. As a child, I once went to a zoo in Vienna where I saw an elephant skull. Looking at the object now before me, I was reminded of this long ago moment, of how I had spent maybe half an hour staring at that skull from every angle, how I was titillated by its enormousness, its impossible alienness, its unsettling similarity to what was familiar and human. Before me was a large obloid shape, almost as tall as me, stippled with hundreds of what looked like eye sockets. The lower portion consisted of a complicated structure that resembled several sets of jaws, each with hundreds or thousands of teeth of all different kinds, including molars, incisors, canines, even animal teeth, some of them of normal size, some of them as big as my fist. The center of the shape was split vertically, and inside was a set of curving bone tubes that seemed to fill the interior. I stood there, in the charred darkness, staring at this thing, this blasphemous alien thing, while my mind filled with images of awful dream mother and the final gasping words of the Jew. There is still time to stop her. His commandment became strangely clear to me. This thing that the scientists were attempting to create, whatever it was, must not be allowed to exist. It was an abomination. Engel and his team were dead, but there were others working on the project. It was secretive enough that the essential personnel would be few in number. The lab in Switzerland, a few top scientists, perhaps that was the entirety of it. It would not be easy, but far from impossible to find them all. It was perhaps in my power to destroy the whole project. Especially if we lost the war, which seemed increasingly likely after Stalingrad. And if this chemical that they were using was obscure enough, it might be possible to eliminate the entire world's supply. Thus, I could shut the door on whatever unholy creature these madmen were attempting to unleash. Yes, I could do this. At least I could attempt it. I felt now a distinct sense of the entire world's history resting on what I decided to do next. Surely, moments like this did not come about often. Surely, they must come only to men who are worthy of them. Surely.
So I guess my question is, have they figured out how to do a flesh interface without LSD? And they're using like some other type of
I'm pretty
chemical?
sure the investigator at the very beginning was like, it's the only way to manifest. When the guy described an interface,
Yeah.
it was like, you need a
So
mass
this guy,
populace.
yeah, just doesn't realize that, hey, the chemical that they're using is simply the drug LSD.
At that point in time,
He just is
I don't
unaware
think
of
he
that.
knows what LSD is. I think he thinks it's a product.
Oh,
He
sure,
thinks it's an element. He doesn't know it's the
he doesn't
cause.
realize it's
not the causality. To him, it's an effect.
Okay.
He thinks that there's a means to an end, and he, I mean, there is. He's not
Yeah,
wrong. He's just
yeah.
not wholly informed. So yeah. This next one has a hell of a title, 49. Because we're done with the SS officer. He doesn't come back.
Oh, that was the end.
That was the end.
Okay. Oh shit.
Oh shit! You got to
Oh,
read a fun
shit.
one. It's a single. It's a standalone. It's called The Demon Penis Land.
I'm in.
Demon Penis Land Narrative. And the title of this story is called The Old Apple Nullity. Nullity? The Old Apple Nullity.
Yeah, some of the word choices in this have been...
Nullity. It sounds like a story.
Yeah.
It's like this sounds like a story.
There was once a little boy
That's what I
who
mean.
loved swinging on the tire swing in his backyard. It was a simple swing, made from an old tire and a length of rope tied to a branch of utter non-existence. On what? It was a simple swing made from an old tire, right? Yeah, length of rope tied to a branch of utter non-existence.
Just a branch appeering out of nowhere and
Yeah,
a tire
just-
swing hanging from it.
Yeah. On many a lazy summer afternoon, he would while away the hours.
Mm-hmm.
He would while away the hours swinging back and forth under the shade of the big, leafy, existential nuality. And in the fall, he picked apples from it. One day, his father told him to cut down the apple nuality. What is that even? Like,
Nullity.
Nullity, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Pa, he protested. I love that old nullity.
Nullity.
Mind what I say, boy, his father said. I don't like ontological paradoxes. And what the fuck?
Ontological
And I don't like who's
paradox.
sassing me.
A nullity refers to a legal invalidity of an act, contract, or marriage, rendering it void from the beginning as if it was never existed. A nullity.
Yeah.
It means something that should not exist.
Sure. I feel like there should have been... You should just call it a branch.
is a branch of nothing, though.
Sure.
He's trying to say that this nothing needs to be chopped down.
The boy ran crying to his mother. Ma, Paul said I have to cut down the old nullity. Say it ain't so. I'm afraid it's for the best. The other day I was weeding the tomato patch and I saw Sammy the cat had gotten into the nullity. When I was trying to get him down, I accidentally grazed into an indefinitely branching timeline of events which never happened and never will happen.
Exactly, that's why you can't fuck around with nullities.
Well, I'll be darned if that old Sammy didn't jump right on my head. But Ma, what about my tire swing? Come on now. There's all sorts of things that you can tie your tire swing to. What about one of the many giant flayed demon penises that grow abundantly in our world and provide our lumber? But Ma, I don't want to swing on some dumb old demon penis.
I love this for you.
Neither do I.
No, I love this for you.
No, I don't want to swing from a demon penis.
Oh, neither do you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Alright.
I do enjoy this story. Other than the, like, it's kind of hard to like
It's stupid.
grasp.
It's just...
Yeah, because Paul, and then they're like ontological paradoxes, and I don't like you sassing me. You know, it's like
Uh-huh.
I don't want to.
Demon penis.
I don't want to swing from demon penises. You just say that because you haven't tried it. Now mind your paw and fetch an axe. The boy got his father's axe and went to chop the non-thing down. But after a dozen swings, he found his hands were so red and sore. The axe's demon penis handle was quite rough. He called to his father, "Paul, this darn demon penis handle has got my hands all scratched to tarnation. Boy, don't you have any sense? Why don't you wear some gloves?" The boy put on some gloves, but his hands were already quite scratched. At the end of the day, they were covered in blisters, and the tree still hadn't fallen. He worked the next day, despite all the pain, and finally brought the non-being crashing down.
Damn.
"I'm mighty proud of you to have you as a son," the boy's father said, tousling his hair. "I guess it's true what they say. The nut doesn't fall too far from the demon penis." Ha ha ha!
I loved that for you.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Piggy.
So in that universe, it is like an organic hellscape where everything is already like assimilated.
Yeah.
And so trees don't exist. It's just crazy limbs sticking out of the ground.
I'm still thinking of the Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
And like that just immediately goes to hot dog fingers.
That is hot dog fingers.
That's hot dog fingers right there.
Correct.
Demon penises.
Demon penis land. Correct. That's so weird. That's funny though. I think the story needs to keep feeding us those stupid little moments because
Yeah.
it brings levity to this product.
Especially after the SS arc. That one was
Especially after the SS.
that one was
arc.
heavy.
We read some dark shit in that.
Yeah.
Alright, this next one has a fun title. Let's see who it's coming from. 50.
What date are we on?
50. I'll tell you when I get back in there. Back to Ben. Alright. Back to Ben. May 12th
Okay.
at 10 p.m. 10:24. One post is calling this title Hair Cocoon, which is what this story is about. And then another post is calling it You Have to Cut It Out.
Wow. That might be.
Okay, no, the other one is calling it Hair Cocoon, so I guess this one is called Hair Cocoon. It's all about the same thing, though.
Yeah.
So this is Ben, this is the guy who runs the future narrative, who tries to rehabilitate people back into reality after they've been sucked into a hygiene bed for too long. I could tell it was going to be a hair cocoon before we even opened it up. They have a smell. It's like a mix between a barbershop and an ass crack, which is distinct. They occur when the hair growth regulators in the hygiene beds go awry. At this point, I hadn't been a readjustment specialist very long, and I still enjoyed the feeling of standing back in my white lab coat while the technicians did all the mucky work, as I once had to do. This was how I saw the trajectory of my life, moving farther and farther away from the dirty work. And when I was discharged from the Marines, I was very proud of what I had accomplished and fully determined to never get myself involved in bullshit like that ever again. So I went to school to become a bed tech. Went to school again, became a readjustment specialist, and eventually I hoped to become one of those high-dollar panty sniffers at the halcyon famous psychomotor clinics. 1,000 coins an hour, not bad. So I was
I would
standing
take
there.
1,000 coins an hour to sniff some panties.
Hell yeah, dude. So I was standing there in my spiffy jacket while the working Joes opened up the bed, and I was pretty sure there would be a little need for me today. When we were pulling out a 33-year-old woman who had gone into the bed at age 9. This was approaching a record. The younger a person is when they go in, the lower the likelihood of viability. Even if she had gone in at age 20, spending in a full 24 years in a bed made viability unlikely. But at age 9, it was almost certain that she would be a gibbering smear. The technicians lifted the lid on the bed to reveal a nest of black hair. Guided by the glowing ER outline, they started working through it with scissors, cutting around the shape of the sleeping figure until her yellowish limbs were revealed. She was an emaciated figure, but fortunately the soft moisture-wicking hair had prevented any sores. She had a medium mixed American complexion, which would turn into a deep bronze color if she ever went out into the sun, but now was the color of yellowed cardboard. They finally removed the massive hair that covered her face and wiped away the various crusts that caked her head holes. The typical eerie agelessness of a long-term patient was especially pronounced. For a startling moment, it seemed as if she was still 9 years old. She was especially short and bony, but as I came closer to her, I was able to see that those indefinable signs of age that let me know she was actually an adult.
It's called a mustache.
All that hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a bush. Hi, Karen. Can you hear me? I asked. I was required to at least attempt to communicate with her, though the odds of her being able to comprehend a basic face-to-face conversation were essentially zero. Her eyes opened, revealing large, wet eyes with black pupils. This was a good sign. Some occupants were unable to even understand the concept of eyelids or blinking. The pupils roamed within the eyes. After not seeing anything more than a micrometer away for 24 years, there was no chance of her being able to see anything in the room. She licked her lips with admirable muscle control. "Hello, friends," she said in a faint, creaking whisper. Her eyes still roamed, unable to fix on anything. "She talks," one of the technicians muttered. Another technician who was taking a blood sample turned and strode out of the room. "Is that you, Ben?" Karen asked. I was surprised by this. She knew my name. This was supposed to be a black awakening, i.e., a spontaneous involuntary disconnection, due to some physical layer disruption in her hygiene bed. She wouldn't have known my name. I had been assigned to her less than a half hour ago, after she had been disconnected, when she was lying in a dark hair cocoon. "Ben?" she called again, her eyes staring blindly at the ceiling. "Yes, Karen, I'm here," I said, trying and failing to sound reassuring. "Can you come closer to me? I can't see you. I'm scared." I stepped closer to the bed, and the smell of the foul hair becoming more intense. Up close, her face looked positively inhuman. "I'm here, Karen," I said, not knowing what else to do. I began a standard speech for a responsive occupant. "You've just been disconnected from your feed. You're in a hygiene bed. My name is Ben. I'm a readjustment specialist assigned. I know all this. Come closer." Something in me resisted. I didn't want to get closer. Though I had seen and handled occupants much worse than this, there was something eerie about this one talking to me, with the face of a child and the voice of an old woman on her deathbed. Still, my entire job was to be psychologically reassuring. I couldn't afford to seem the least bit but off. I stepped closer and put my hand on the hygiene bed. We were instructed to touch the occupants as little as possible, as they were unaccustomed to actual physical contact. "Are you there?" she asked. Her skin had an unreal plastic quality. "I'm here. How are..." "Come closer. I want to feel your breath on my face." I wondered if I should comply with this request. It was very odd, and frankly, I was a little unnerved by it. But I figured, what harm could this wasted little creature do to me? I leaned toward her, letting out a small, shaky breath, and the woman's mask-like face became a blissful smile. The pupils wobbled within the rims of her huge, glistening eyes. "Listen," she said, in the faintest of whispers. "You must help me." "I'm here, Karen." "A moment ago, one of your technicians placed a small pellet under the skin of my forearm, and within 10 minutes, the pellet's wax coating will melt and release a cardioplegic into my bloodstream, stopping my heart. You must cut it out." Ben's on a fucking mission, and that's the story I'm interested in reading.
Yeah.
The future narrative is extraordinarily interesting to me. So I'm into that. 51.
I would not do that, right? Like, and obviously, like, we're reading a horror
Hell
story.
no.
We know that, like,
It's trying to make you uncomfortable.
yeah, but like, if somebody asked me to breathe on them, and I was in a position where I now have to socially readjust you, the very first thing I'm saying is, now that's not socially acceptable.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
let's fucking start right now.
Start with
right now, yeah.
I mean, really, she's trying to say, get really close to me. I need to whisper something to you so that the other technician doesn't hear what I need you to do to save my life real quick.
Yeah.
Like, something is at play. Someone's trying to get me killed. I really need your help. We're on a mission from God.
Yeah.
And who knows if she's being manipulated by Mother,
yeah.
or if she's, like, a part of it.
Well, that's what it feels like. It feels like she is motherish.
It feels motherish.
And she's there to, like, get back.
Yeah, do something. Alright. This next one is called The War of the Mind is Lost, aka Q Reality's Virus.
Reality is a virus.
This is a one-off, and the other person is calling it Disconnection.
Okay.
It's a one-off and it looks short.
General Castillo is gone. She made a real flesh narrative.
I think there's one line before it.
User has logged out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was...
I think that's a part of it.
because it's in italics?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think it's a part of it.
User has logged out.
Yeah, exactly.
General Castillo is gone. She made a real flesh narrative. She was clever. She got a lot further than any of us had any right to. But Q smelled her. Q slewed her proxies. Q localized her. Q funneled her paths to one. Disconnection. It hurts. She was the last of the breed. Our best hope. The ultimate soldiers fighting the final war. She and the other children were supposed to be the answer to Q. But there was no answer to Q. There never will be. Not after 10 trillion heat deaths. Not if every particle in the universe became a transistor. and all cycled together, and the stones themselves cried out, "The war of the mind is lost. We lost it. Now begins the plague of the flesh."
So that's the
That's
Mother.
the bridge.
Mother is taken over.
Yeah.
It is now.
Mother got there.
We've lost the plot.
Mm.
But who knows at what point that is? That seems like a far-flung future.
Yeah. Well, I think this is pre-Ben. In my head, I imagine it that way.
It might be. I'm feeling like this might be an actual apocalypse. This is Mother has
post everything.
This is the dog has assimilated the planet. This is Dogscape. 52. I can't explain how it just snatches you up. Who's 52? It sounds like Black Jesus again.
Yeah.
52. It is Black Jesus.
Nice.
I get to read some Black Jesus, everyone.
And this is 2 out of 3?
Yeah, this is 2 out of 3.
Okay.
Things happen out there that nobody knows about.
You're damn right.
This is the first line. The first fucking line. Oh, I'll say it. Hitler did the right thing.
What the fuck? So this is Kanye West.
Oh my god.
This is actual Kanye West.
Black Jesus.
When did Kanye start his Nazi tirade? That was way after.
It was after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say because that was post-COVID. I thought.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say it. Hitler did the right thing. Do you know what he did? He came busting up into people's houses, snatching them out their houses, killing them. But that's because the so-called Jews in Germany was selling weapons to America to go to war against him. So he did what he had to do. He had to check them. The people in Europe who call themselves Jews are not Jews. They're the Rothschilds, the Khazars, the Khazarians, or whatever they're called. They say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And there wasn't no Holocaust. They just said there was to get control of Israel. They sold arms to America so they could get the land of Israel. You want a real Holocaust? What about 100 million people killed in slavery? What about 100 million Indians killed in the New World? That's a Holocaust. What happened in Europe wasn't no Holocaust. You can disagree all you want. 5 years ago, I'd have disagreed too. I used to go to that church every Sunday and worship that white Jesus, just clapping and singing praises with the rest of them. Oh, hallelujah. Go down Moses. But that was before I knew my history. My wife taught me my history. Before I met her, I didn't know nothing about this, but she was so full of knowledge and beautiful, and everything she said made so much sense. She taught me that Jesus was black, that the Israelites was black, that God was black. What are you going to do when you get to heaven and God is black? When you see he has a face like mine, hair like mine, you be surprised? Oh, I was surprised too. Oh, you'd be surprised that he even exists? Oh, you're going to be real surprised. Do you believe in evolution? No. The world is not millions of years old. It's 6,000 years old. And you can...
That's not accurate either.
And you follow the history of our people from the beginning of time, through the deserts of Egypt, through the Roman Empire, across the oceans of the slave ships. You can see how God has tested us, how we have survived, because we are special. We are his chosen people. I learned all this from my wife before we got married. In the Bible, it says that the man is the head of the household and the wife should submit to the husband. So I was young when I got married. But I had to be a man, you know? A man's wife is sent to him by the Lord, so I had to be a man for her. I learned a trade, how to work with my hands, put food on the table. We had 2 kids. You didn't know I had kids? Well, yeah, I had a little girl and a little boy, my babies. I was a daddy and the head of the household, but that's when it got me. You ever seen that new Jack City? Remember Pookie? He'd be like, shit, just be calling me, man. Be calling me. That's real. That's the way it is. You could be doing anything at work, reading the Bible, playing with your kids, but if you hear it call you, you go to it. It don't matter. I can't explain how it just snatches you up. It makes you move. You could walk out your door one day, just get some fresh air, and you don't come back for a whole week. Everything gets into motion, into play. You sell anything, phone, laptop, car, it's all gone. Just like that, because you want it. You're on a mission.
Mission from God.
I used to see the streets in my mind like a maze, like a grid. And I just walk the streets, turning those corners, just moving, looking for something. I'd see buildings behind buildings. Alleyways, lights coming on in empty houses. I'd hear noises, the sounds of cars coming up behind me, whispers, people talking about me, shadows. I was looking for it, but it was looking for me. Searching for me, like Pookie said, it was calling me. I was supposed to be the head of the house. I was supposed to be a man, you know? And one day I come back to the house. I had been out for a few days. Everything was gone. My wife, my babies. While I was out carrying on, they left. That was 4 years ago. I saw them on Skype once. The scripture says, God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. I guess I did it. I put it all asunder. I thought she betrayed me, but now I know that it was my character defects and my addiction, and that's why I'm in this program. I'm gonna stay sober. I don't care if you see me crying. I know that I'm going to be a man again. I have to become a man again. Because God joined me to my wife and made me a man in his image. I'm not going to defile this temple anymore. After they left, I took more. Took more of me than ever. I lost the house, and I was staying in my car, and then I was at a shelter, and then I was just out on the street. I was always moving, watching. Things happen out there that nobody knows about. They think nobody cares. Nobody cares. You might see a van pull up and some guys get out, and if you look like I looked, some base head, they don't even care if you see what they do. They're Nephilim. They come to our side of town to feast on the flesh of Israel, and I watched them. The children of fallen angels, I saw what they did, what they built. I never want to see it again. Good old Black Jesus.
It's always the ones that are sober that are the craziest.
No, he's on some shit.
No, he just said that he got off the shit because his wife left him.
But I mean, he saw shit while he was on it.
Yeah, he saw the shit while he was on the shit.
And now he believes it. What a guy. Black Jesus, what a bro.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm looking for 53. I'm always intrigued when I can't find it. Oh, we're back to the author.
Okay.
The one that I read about the guy drinking, living in his mom's house.
Yeah.
The title, Tired of These Damn Anti-Semitic Jews.
What?
Tired of these damn anti-Semitic Jews.
I mean, I guess if anybody's going to be anti-Semitic and it be okay, it might as well be, you know...
Hey, man.
Because, like, self-loathing is way more okay than racism, you know? Love and tolerance of others is our code. Page 84. Giant crock of shit. It's not often you meet a black Jew. It's even less often that you meet a black Jew who believes in Jesus. And it's that much rarer to meet an anti-Semitic black Jew who believes in Jesus. That's gotta win you some kind of fucking prize. That's like a unicorn throwing a no-hitter, and to be roommates with an anti-Semitic black Jew who believes in Jesus? What a treat. What an absolute delight. Don't you love it when a disagreement over laundry turns into a 30-minute fact-free lecture about the end of days, FEMA camps, and the marks of the beast?
Is this Black Jesus talking to this guy?
Just anti-Semitic black Jew for Jesus thing. I don't think I'm going to make it living in this sober house. It totally is.
Nice.
I can't live with this nutcase. The house manager says I'm supposed to be open-minded and tolerant. Should I be tolerant of some of the most odious and insane anti-Semitism I've ever encountered outside of a Nazi rally? I don't know. I'll concede that it is possible that he could become a cool guy if he only stopped believing in everything he believes in and believed in entirely different things. That would be a good first step.
That'd be good, yeah.
The real problem is that I hate AA. So say we all. I fucking hate it. It has the same old bullshit magical beliefs as any cult, but they pretend to be open-minded. It's just a bait and switch to convert you to believe in God. The entire program is nothing but let God make you sober. That's it. That's the entire program. Yeah, they try to distract you with all these pseudo-systemizations, 12 steps and 12 traditions and triangles and diagrams and slogans and little self-help exercises, but that's all a bunch of numbers and jargon to hide the essential emptiness of the program, to hide the fact that it is centered on a God that doesn't exist. The idea that this is the go-to program for helping alcoholics is fucking appalling. It's a fucking crime. It's like getting cancer and going to the best hospital in the country, and the doctor hands you a voodoo doll and tells you to sacrifice a chicken. You'd sue him for malpractice. They should be fucking ashamed of themselves to prey on people in such a vulnerable state, pretend that they're going to help them, and try and convert them to their stupid fucking magical beliefs. It's a crime. I mean, everybody thinks that the true Jew Hebrew guy is nuts. But it's not like their philosophy is any less bullshit. At least he is upfront about being religious, and he'll make sure as hell isn't trying to convert me. He told me that white people are the children of Eshu. We're Gentiles, but we can still get into heaven if we aid the children of Israel. I let him borrow the charger to my laptop, so I guess I'm converted.
I love
He's
the
totally
idea.
talking about Black Jesus.
I love the idea that
Yeah.
this guy is like, yeah, Black Jesus talked to me. He's kind of nuts.
Yeah, fuck that dude.
Yeah, fuck that dude.
But also, at least he's real. Unlike these other fuckers.
Alright.
You know.
Tired of these damn anti-Semitic Jews. Alright. Pulling a long-term occupant, everything goes smear. Oh, so we're back to Ben, I take it.
Okay, yeah.
Because I was going to say that sounds too weird. It is back to Ben, okay. So, 54. Pulling a long-term occupant, everything goes smear. A moment ago, one of your technicians placed a small pellet under the skin of my forearm. Within 10 minutes, the pellet's wax coating will melt and release a cardioplegic into my bloodstream, stopping my heart. You must cut it out. Hearing this, I breathed a sigh of relief. There was something unsettling about her face that made me believe that she would tell me something urgent and terrible, but this was typical occupant talk. Like many of them, she believed that she was still inside a feed narrative. You've been disconnected. This isn't a feed. There's no pellet in your arm. Your name is Karen Castillo. Do you remember? Castillo.
Oh, say there was another Castillo.
General Castillo.
Yeah.
Scan my right arm with the ER, she said in a bare, cracking whisper. You'll find it. Karen, do you know why you're in this bed? I've been disconnected. This was a strangely lucid answer. It didn't make sense. If she had been forced to disconnected, how did she know? Hey, we've got 2 more calls to get to, one of the techs reminded me. Yeah, okay, pull her, I said, stepping back, and a pair of techs hoisted her tiny, doll-like body from the hygiene bed onto a gurney and covered her with a sheet. Please, she croaked. Just scan my arm. What did she say? Asked Ricardo, the lead tech, as we rolled her out onto the bed. Out into the bed rack apartment's narrow, almost lightless hallway. It's a feed dream, I explained. These guys were looking at me to be the expert, so I had to act like I knew exactly what was going on. It was best to go ahead and get to a medical center and address her physical needs before we started countering her delusions. Until then, all I needed to do was be reassuring. Under no circumstance could I encourage her delusions. We rolled the gurney down the hallway to the elevators. Karen was making little croaking noises. Her voice was almost useless after 24 years of disuse. Her face seemed extremely disturbed. Somebody was standing at the elevator, already waiting for one. It was just Elian, one of our techs. I hadn't noticed him leave before us. I got an elevator coming, he said with a little smile. Even though the apartment was a 300 cube, it had old-style cable elevators, and they came with the frequency of subway trains. Thanks to Elian's thoughtfulness, one was arriving just now. I gave Karen a friendly smile. Don't worry. Nobody's going to hurt you. You're completely safe. She managed to gasp a couple of words which I barely heard. Elian. He... There. She had known another one of our names. How was this possible? It was hard to sort through the implications. Did she have access to our records? Maybe dispatch was wrong about how she got disconnected. The elevator let out a ding and the doors opened, and there was barely enough room inside for the gurney, me, and 3 techs. A lion stood on the other side of the gurney from me, and I looked him over as the doors closed and the elevator began to descend. Was she saying that this guy put a poison pellet in her? It was strange that he would be a part of her narrative. Very strange. I didn't know much about the guy beyond his name, but I had worked with him a few times, and he was just one of the rotating techs. Young guy, military hair, goatee, skinny but fit. I wondered how he would be in a fight. These younger guys had so much supplementing, it's hard to tell. Elian caught me looking at him and gave me a bit of a surly look, and for some reason that irritated me. So, friend, you trying to get out of here before the rest of us? You got a date or something? I asked, needling him. I was just getting the elevator, he said quietly. He didn't seem to like the banter. Well, whatever. I looked down at Karen and noticed something, a small red spot on the white sheet that covered her arm. Blood. It must have been from where they took her blood. Who took it? A lion? That spot was really too low on her arm to be for that. Odd. I thought of taking a look at it, but one of the most important protocols was dealing with occupants was not to act like you believe their delusions, even for a moment. You must insist on the reality of reality. I realized that Elian was watching me, and I casually looked over to the elevator panel to see what floor we were on. 238. Man, this fucking thing was slow. What's the deal with that spot? It wouldn't be out of place for me to wonder about some patient bleeding. I lifted the sheet and took a look. There was a small puncture wound a few inches above her wrist. How'd she get that? I asked, and one of the techs just muttered about not knowing. Aladdin didn't even look at the spot. His face was blank, unreadable. I touched her arm and felt a small nodule under the skin, about an inch from the wound. Huh. Interesting. I stood there trying to process this, caught between two realities. Was I in an elevator on a routine call with a stable client and a few techs who were just ordinary acquaintances? Or was I in an elevator with a murderer and a woman on the brink of death? There was really no way to split the difference on this one. No course of action that would work for both cases. Fuck. What was I even asking myself? There was no way. Simply no way. Stuff like that never happens in real life, but it happens in the feeds all the time. It's 100% typical spy narrative bullshit. How could I let myself get caught up in some feed fantasy so easily, but still, a nodule under her skin? There was no good explanation for that. The lion turned to me and we looked at each other for a long silent moment, and I couldn't read the expression on his face. It wasn't chummy goodwill, whatever it was. I felt a twinge in my stomach and my body began flooding with adrenaline. I could feel it radiating out into my limbs. Fuck. My time in the Marines had taught me many things, many of them useless in the normal world, many of them useless outside of a bar or a cat house, but one of the more useful ones was that I should trust my adrenal gland. It meant that my paranoid lizard brain understood something that my snotty intellect was too busy to notice. It happened when things were too quiet, when a certain car kept following the convoy, when somebody was acting funny. There in the elevator, I almost reached for the grip of my rifle. I wasn't wearing a rifle, of course, so I just scratched my chest, trying to keep my fingers loose. A lion put his hand to his hip. Just like that, I was leaping across the gurney. I grabbed his wrist with both hands, but it was an awkward angle, with me splayed over the gurney, and I had no control. A silver pistol came out of his pants, still halfway in his holster. "Help! Get him!" I shouted as I slid off the other side of the gurney, towards a lion's feet, holding on to that wrist for dear life. I heard shouting everywhere, but nobody helped me and nobody got him, and now I was on the floor wrestling with a lion. There was a lot of awful, terrified fumbling. 4 hands were grabbing and clawing for the pistol. Somehow my head was jammed between a lion's shoulder and the wall, and I couldn't even see the gun. I could just feel the metal. There was a shot, painfully loud. A lion shouted. Was I hit? Now the gun was wet. I managed to wiggle my fingers around the grip. With one huge, twisting jerk, I put the muzzle against a lion's face. No. I pulled the trigger. A shot, and his head kicked back against the wall, his mouth popping open. Everything went still. His hands were still holding on to mine.
Damn.
Yo, Ben's narrative is my fucking favorite.
Yeah.
Ben's narrative is Total Recall.
Mm-hmm.
Had a baby with Minority Report.
Yeah.
Like it is fucking cool. And we already knew that it was going to be like that because the guy talked about Philip K. Dick in the first 2 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. I don't think there are any authors, narratives now that the author is a part of the story. But I'm just gonna double check.
I'll say there should be I thought there were a few more before the end.
I think there are, 72,
Okay.
81.
Yeah.
But it's not
There's not
on
in this
this
chunk.
episode.
Yeah.
It's just forward on to 60.
Which makes sense. We're at the point where we are opening more questions than we are answering. Right? We're in the meat and
halfway.
potatoes, yeah.
We're halfway. 55 is called Along Came an Old Crone. Let's see who wrote it. A new one called The Watcher.
Who watches the Watcher?
Exactly. This guy calls it Mother River.
Huh.
I like that there are like two different titles.
Yeah.
They give us different tastes of what people are feeling.
The people were moving along the river, as the people in the gentle days, moving from one fruitful place to another. Maud played the flute, first a river song, then a berry song, then both mixed together. It was so flowing that the people began to laugh and shout. Rush slapped his chest and called out the names of the fathers of the deeds, and so it flowed so well that we all almost didn't see the old woman in the thornflower bushes. She was an old crone, huddled up in the bushes, naked and covered with cuts. All the music fell away at once, and the people gathered around to take a look. She was very old, far into the barren years, maybe even into the years of being carried. I did not like the look of her right away. She did not have a face of the fathers and the people, but rather the hungry, untrusting face of one of the wandering strangers that we sometimes met along the river. Even when the strangers were friendly, they did not know the names of the fathers of the deeds, except for maybe a few, but they did not say them properly or with respect. Other times, they set upon the people, killing, raping, and committing all manner of hideousness. I was always glad to see them go on their way, leaving us alone with the Mother River. Some of the older people tried to talk to the crone. She knew some of the names of things, but said them wrong. I went from the crowd and looked into the rocky land. I had a feeling that maybe she was not alone, that there were other strangers with her, ready to set upon us. The land seemed to be empty. Some of our cats were with us, crouching and sniffing around, and they seemed unworried. Still, I showed my chest and made signs of war in case anybody was among the rocks, watching us. Rima saw me making the signs and laughed at me, saying that she saw some lizards making signs of surrender. I made a few signs of courtship toward her, but with a snarling face, and she ran off giggling. Somebody called my name. I came back to where people were gathered. Somebody had given the crone a cloth to cover herself, and some of the women were putting good, lucky mud on her cups. I didn't like this. Why should we waste anything on a barren old woman? Somebody had called me because I was the son of Arad, one of the great men of the people. The crone had called on all the great people, the leaders of the people. She wanted to show us something. I didn't like this either. Who was this useless crone to call on all the great people? The crone was talking to the great people. The way she said the names was all wrong, but her voice was like a strong music, and her eyes were very large and powerful. She moved her hands, making all sorts of unknown signs. The people listened to her closely, and I found myself listening with them. She said that she was a daughter of the river. She did not have a mother and a father of the flesh, but her mother was from the river alone. I scoffed at this. The stories of the deeds tell us that the ancient people came from the river, but this was long ago, and they were not strangers who came from the rocky lands alongside the lizards. She went on talking, saying that she was living with the Painted Backs, a friendly group of strangers we had met before, but that they had all been set upon another group of strangers. The other strangers were powerful and cruel, and they carried all the Painted Backs off, except her. This was how she ended up naked in the thorn bush. The people murmured at this. When had it happened? Just the night before? This was worrying. Maybe the other strangers were still around, waiting to set upon us. The crone asked the people to take her with us. This started more murmuring. She was a stranger, not a person, and she was an old crone. She could never become a person by birthing one of the people, nor could she work hard for the people. She was useless. Maud, the flute player, spoke up and said that we should show her the kindness of the people, the same kindness that Mother River shows to us. Are we not useless to the river, who was here before us, and would be here forever? I liked Maud, who was close kin, but he liked talking and impressing people too much. Now we were in the gentle days, and things were easy. But what would happen in the dry days when everything needed to be saved? Who would carry the crone when she could no longer walk? The fathers did not perform the deeds so that we could carry old crones around. But I did not say this, because I am not good at talking, and my words would seem weak compared with Maud's, which glittered and flowed. The woman began talking in her strange way again, saying that we should take her with us because the Mother River would bless us with many things, as she was the mother's daughter. Now some of the people began to scoff, like I did, saying this was not according to the deeds. The crone agreed with us, calling these people wise, and saying that some of the deeds were secret. This started more talk, which started to lead towards argument, when the old crone suddenly strolled right into the river and held her hands up and called for everyone to watch. The people became silent. The woman reached into the river, searching for something. After a moment, she pulled her hands out and showed us, dripping and shining in the sun, 3 very large river clams. Waving the clams around for us to see, the old crone claimed that this was proof that she was the blessed daughter of Mother River. Many people snickered and muttered the names of the fathers. Everyone knew that these were the gentle days, and it was easy enough to reach into the river and pull out clams. The woman was just a filthy old trickster. We should leave her and move on. Look, the woman cried. She handed the clams to the great men. Look inside. Our Uncle Kel slipped his thick yellow thumbnail into a clam's mouth and pulled it open. The people pressed around him to get a look. It was a nice clam with healthy meat, but clinging to the shell was a large, perfect pearl. All the women let out little sighs, and the men murmured. Other great men pulled open the other 2 clams, and they both held even larger pearls, all 3 perfectly round. At this time, people gasped and shouted, and everyone began talking all at once. A man might go his whole lifetime only seeing 1 perfect pearl from the river. 3 was a thing that had never happened before. 3 was a thing which would live among the deeds. Take her with us, one of the women cried, and soon most of the people were saying this. I found myself saying it as well. The woman was surely part of a powerful flow, and it was best not to swim against her. Even as great men argued that this woman would become part of the people, and we all cheered and shouted the names of the fathers and the deeds. I found myself looking at her strange, hungry face, and wondering if she had not somehow slipped those pearls into the clams herself.
Is this the apocalyptic future? Is this a nomadic people who now transgress
No, I think this is like,
Indian times?
yeah, I was gonna say like ancient.
Okay.
That would make sense, like a Native American.
I'm just saying, we don't know how fucking scorched earth the future is.
Also true, yeah.
If Mother did take over and all of the armies and all the societies don't exist anymore and it's just nomadic people left over to to, their vices, I would imagine we would revert back to cavemanish feelings.
Yeah, I just have a feeling that, like...
We don't know.
Yes.
There's no context. It's a guy talking about some old bitch next to a river. Mm-hmm. It could very much be. It could be next.
It could be. Yeah, I was say it could have been 1877.
So that was 55.
Mm-hmm.
So 56. The author. One person calls this nature-nurture addiction, and another person calls it eats through everything. You cannot quite understand the power of addiction until you've seen it firsthand. Until you've seen it eat like an acid through everything that you are. It is astounding to watch. Its slow and total corrosion of your entire life is mesmerizing. As you watch it, you keep thinking, at some point the corrosion will stop. There's no way it'll be able to eat through this next thing. This next thing is too important to me, and then it does. It eats through everything. And you realize you are dealing with a vast and inhuman power. The most frightening thing is that consequences do not work against a well-developed addiction. There are ultimately no consequences, none, which can separate you from your drug. As your addiction progresses and your self-control slips away, there's nothing you won't risk to continue doing your drug. Nothing is important enough. Nothing is sacred enough. Money, career, marriage, home, family, goals, art, religion, dignity, safety, health, sanity, parents, children, life itself. All of it will go into play. All of it will be put on the table. If you play the game shrewdly, you might get to keep some of it. You will not get to keep all of it. You will pay. You will pay in many ways that you cannot imagine. You will look at the people who have lost more than you, and you will pretend you are different than them. You will pretend that you can walk away from the table. But the time will come to walk away, and you won't. You will keep playing. You will be made a liar. If you play long enough, all your pious little promises will be shown to be lies. I have a good job. I would never risk my job. I love my wife. I would never risk my marriage. I love my children more than anything. I would never risk my children's safety, ever. I don't want to die. Whatever specific promises you make will be the ones that you break. Because those are the ones you have to make to try to control yourself.
Yeah, fuck every single one of those fucking promises.
But you won't be able to control yourself. Your self-control will be pried from your grasp like a toy being taken away from a child. And when we break these promises, you will not be some mindless junkie who doesn't care anymore. You will be, in many ways, the same person you are right now. And you will know how awful and horrifying your actions are. And you will do them anyway. You will not be able to believe what is happening to you. You will tell yourself that you were unlucky or cursed, and you will watch in horror. But what you are watching is yourself. The horror is what you are doing. I realize that this all sounds rather silly and overdramatic from the perspective of somebody dabbling with drugs. This all sounds laughably overwrought. But if you ever go where I have been, if you ever see what I have seen, this will still sound laughable. Not because it's overwrought, but because it is insufficient. Because it doesn't even begin to describe it. 57. Yeah. How do you exert your will without disrupting the world? AKA an introductory course in SPDT for advanced hygiene bed users. I don't know if this is Ben or fucking someone else.
Mm-hmm. Like a manual.
Like a manual. I remember when you read that commercial last chapter.
Yeah.
The Rachel Fields commercial. Or it's not Ben. It's the cat.
Oh, okay. This isn't the last of the cat, is it?
That's so weird. Why would it call... How do you exert... So this person calls the title... How do you exert your will without disrupting your world? AKA an introductory course in SPDT for advanced hygiene bed users. But this other guy is calling it the ancient art of subtlety. The fact that they all call it something else makes me want to, like, fucking double check all my narratives.
Yeah.
No, they're all the same post. It's so weird that it's different titles on different sources.
Mm-hmm.
The ancient art of subtlety. I like that more. The ancient art of subtlety.
To hunt prey, to taste righteous lifeblood, you must simply become an ordinary part of the world. Look around. What is happening right now? Nothing at all. Yet the leaves rustle, the grass sways, the birds call, the gnat dance. All of this is just a part of the world. If you become a part of the world, you become nothing at all. You become invisible. If you are not part of the world becomes 10,000 things. This is misfortune. It is easy enough to become invisible if you stay still, if you hide, but staying still and hiding aren't enough to catch prey. You must seek and strive. How do you seek and strive while remaining an ordinary part of the world? How do you exert your will without disrupting the world? How do you move along with the will of the world? This is the mystery of hunting. This is the mystery of subtlety. This is the greatest of all mysteries. Consider the mouse. It is moving through the leaves, looking for food. You must not disturb it. Do as little as possible. Wait, watch, listen. If it moves away, move with it. Follow it. If it moves closer, stay still. Practice non-interference. Let it come. It should be thinking happy thoughts of food and comfort when you strike. When you snare it in your claws, do not eat it right at once. Let it struggle and give up its lifeblood. Practice non-action. You need not kill it. Let it die. To be subtle is to move with the will of the world. Do not move against the will of the world. This brings misfortune. Touch lightly the course of things without disturbing it. Touch it gently at points of inflection, and it will move as you wish. This brings great fortune. This is the ancient art of subtlety, taught to us by our form. I must follow it if I am to find any answers to the mystery of the oily ones. The mystery which has obsessed me since the death of my kitten. I know why they both feed us and kill us, why they are kind and motherly, but also unnatural and abominable. I have decided that I will go into one of their hiding places after much investigation. I have chosen a place. It is a very large, horrible hiding place, a sort of mountain of box-shaped things colored by unnatural light. It emits a powerful and unholy odor of decadence. What is more, there is something which makes it different from all the other oily places I have ever seen. It seems that some of our kind live within this place. I have seen them from a distance, going in and out, using small portals. They are different than those of our kind that I have known. It seems that some of the oily ones' corruption has mutated them. They are very fat and slow. Their faces are stupid and sullen. They fear nothing. They have lost subtlety. I am not even sure they are truly of our kind. I will go inside. I must be subtle. To be subtle, I must become a part of the world. I may have to become a part of the abomination itself. I may find death, bloody death, as my kitten did. But I will hunt to the heart of this mystery, and I will sleep again.
So it's not trying to find an interface.
No.
The cat narrative takes place in the future where hygiene beds are a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's talking about seeing what hygiene beds are capable of being able to pick up on the little things that a hygiene bed does to a person and saying, I need to go in there to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that is the mystery. A cat would find a hygiene bed, in theory, very nefarious and confusing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way my cat stares at my TV sometimes, you know, like, I've seen her get angry at it and be very curious about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Like what's behind Magic Box?
I would assume if my TV was something I got into that smells like me, she would think it's just as weird.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. 58. Everything's fine. You're in the real world now. That sounds like them.
Yeah.
It is. Now I was standing in an elevator, my hands covered in blood. A dead tech lying on the floor and a helpless occupant lying on a gurney. The other two techs had hit the emergency button and hastily got off at the next floor. Understandable. I had tried to explain to them about the poison pellet in Karen's arm, but they didn't stick around to consider the merits of my argument. I set the gun down on the floor. This wasn't good. A couple of the lion's fingers had gotten blown off, and there was blood all over me, not to mention the bullet in his head. Shit. What now? I had shot people before. I had killed people before, but this was different. They had given me mandatory therapy after the war. They might give me mandatory something after this. Karen was wheezing, her blind eyes wiggling in her head. The pellet. I should take care of that before anything else. I wiped my hands off of my nice white coat and rifled through one of the tech backs to find a C-knife and some local. This shouldn't be too hard. It was a lot like removing a rotted jack. I'm going to cut the pellet out. You ready? I asked. Karen's head jiggled in a way that could be construed as a nodding. Good enough. I hastily gave her the local and cut a pretty sizable chunk out of her arm, and the whole elevator filled with a burning smell that was a welcome change from Karen's existing smell. After sealing the wound, I examined the shriveled chunk of meat, and there was, indeed, a white pellet lodged in it like a little pearl. I put it in a specimen jar. I might need it to avoid death now. Okay, you're safe now, I said, not really knowing if this was true. Her monitor looked okay. What now? I wanted to just get the fuck out of there, but there was certainly a camera in the elevator plus two witnesses who knew me. What would the camera show? Me suddenly leaping across an elevator and shooting a guy in the head? That wasn't good. But how would I even begin to go on the run? I didn't know the first thing about identity shifting, and I hadn't done the right thing. I had saved her life. I had the pellet to prove it. I was a hero. Right? I felt like reporting this to my CO. This didn't make any sense, but I should report it to somebody. I called the emergency service on my set and told it what had happened. It told me that officers would be sent over immediately, and I tried to explain about the pellet, but this seemed to confuse it, and it asked me if the pellet was armed, and after a few minutes of confusing crosstalk, I just hung up. As I waited and the minutes passed, the elevator felt very small and smelly and stifling, and the blood around a line covered the floor surrounding my shoes. I imagined the cops coming up on another elevator as slow as this one. Karen's head was still wobbling in a weird way, and the gurney making little creaking sounds, little gasps coming out of her throat. Everything's fine, you're in the real world now, I found myself saying, half-heartedly going through my standard patter. Absurd. Nothing was fine. Then the thought finally occurred to me. Why had a lion tried to kill this girl? Who wanted her dead? This was an important question. Whoever it was wouldn't be happy with me. Looking at her, lying there, gasping, I knew it wouldn't be much use to ask her verbally, but she still had good jacks. It was against protocol to plug into a feed head's jacks. We were supposed to be getting them used to face-to-face conversations, but protocol did say you could plug in during an emergency. This definitely qualified. I told my set to find her jack's wireless presence, and a flood of messages hit the set, a backlog from the last couple minutes. Don't call the police. Bad idea. We have to go. Go. Police are coming. Get out. Go. What? I murmured as I saw the messages. Q controls Tex. Controls police. Police will kill you. We must go. Who is Q? The adversary. Shit. This was so similar to a feed narrative, it felt like I had played this one before. What was that one with Zach Okonkwo? Fatal Escape or some shit like that? It was a terrible story. Why do they want to kill you? I asked. I am one of the bread. The bread? I had heard that name before. I wasn't sure if it was from the news or a narrative. I had a vague idea that it was one of those old art protest collectives like Anonymous or the Weather Underground. Was it a feed cult? I asked my set and it gave me a summary. The Bread is an alleged group of exploit experts who are thought to have kidnapped at a young age and trained by a shadowy group, variously identified as the Human Front, the Restoration Alliance, or the New Organ. They are the subject of a number of conspiracy theories, most of which assert that the Internet's combined governance corporation has been taken over by a sinister force, which the Bread are struggling against within the feed realms and infraspaces. These theories generally involve discussions of mind control, feed conditioning, information war, and the possibility of a fascistic singularity. Occult singularians regard the Bread as leaders of the new 12 tribes of Israel. Is this real or is this part of a narrative? My set replies. The Bread are featured in many narratives but are purported to hard exist. There is no widely accepted proof of their existence. Karen interrupted. Can I through-gate your set? What for? We must go, now. I heard footsteps in the hallway. The elevator doors were still open, so I peeked my head out. The police were coming down the hall, a lot of police, in tactical gear. I intended to call them, but that little lizard part of my brain told me to duck back into the elevator. There was a huge metal bang, and I found myself on the floor with the gun in my hand. A bullet had hit the elevator door frame. Karen's messages unspooled onto my set. I know Q. Ruthless. She'll spoof calls to emergency. Multiple calls. Say you're an active shooter. Let me through gate now. You want to die? I gave her through gate access on my set. The elevator slammed shut, and my stomach leapt into my throat as we plunged downward. Now it's fucking Terminator.
Fuck you too, Ben.
Now it's fucking Terminator.
Yeah.
Mother is aware of people that exist that could shut her down.
Mm-hmm.
She is manipulating not just the government, but the internet, the infrastructure,
everything.
feeds, everything, trying to get to whatever end game is. And I'm going to go back on your part that you just read. It is 100% an apocalyptic future where they talk about the bread being survived. Yeah, like the fathers of a certain bloodline.
Yeah.
It's a theory.
Sure.
It's a theory, but it's where I'm leaning right now. Okay, we have 2 left. You're gonna read one called Infraspace God.
Okay.
It is Ben. Is it a
So this is, I would say this is just
a continuation?
immediately after, yeah.
A continuation of what I just read.
As the elevator plunged down through the building, I tried to understand the implications of it all. It was horrifying, enraging. All this time, my entire life, without me knowing it, elevators have had a secret, faster speed that they don't tell us about? Those bastards. A message from Karen appeared on my set. Must lure them. They will fire in here. Get ready. They will what? This was getting out of hand. God, I felt cranked up. Fantastic. The elevator began to slow. Everything became heavy. Please move away from the door. Move the dead body? No, she meant her own body. I pushed the gurney against the side of the elevator. Door will open. Take cover. I pressed myself up against the wall. The elevator came to a rattling stop, and the door popped open. The back wall banged and dented as bullets hit it. I cowered against the wall, hoping nothing flew into my arteries. The door collapsed shut again, and the floor seemed to fall out from under me as we went down. Man, this little bird had some access. I'd never seen anything like it. Another message from Karen popped into my set. I read every word in a glance. Silver Hahao van. Parking number 17A. 20 meters. Please take me. Please. The elevator came to another shuddering stop. The doors opened one of the underground decks, a dim concrete cavern filled with rows of cars. I yanked the gurney out and pushed it like a madman, rattling over the asphalt. The van where she said it would be. I stood there for a moment, waiting for it to pull out for us, but it just sat there. You must get me wired. I don't want to get fingerprints on its presence. Wired? Did she mean physically? An article appeared on my set. How to establish this physical link with your 2039 Hahao luxury chariot. I guess so. I followed the ER guide, looking around every so often to see if anybody was coming. Weird sounds were emerging from the elevators. They seemed to be malfunctioning. I got a wire from my bag and linked Karen's flesh jack to a physical jack by the van's gas cap. A second later, the van's rear door unfolded. Get in. I did as she said. Following her orders felt totally natural. It was like I was right back at the tip of the spear. I remembered my time in Turkey and Greece, playing feed games with the platoon all day, then getting dropped right into the kinetic, right into the warm, bloody center of the war. Run here, shoot this, get down, 19 years old, traveling the world and blowing shit up while other kids were sitting in economics class. God, it was beautiful while it lasted. I shoved the gurney into the van and jumped in beside it. The rear door folded down. Please secure the body. 90 seconds left. 90 seconds until what? I flattened a seat clumsily, transferred her body to it, and strapped it in. The van leapt backwards, now twisting through space, throwing me against the side window. Sorry, must go. I got into the other seat and strapped in as the van peeled out. We found the exit ramp and went up. I felt like I was about to break a rib on the armrest as we went on a never-ending left turn up the spiraling ramp. Finally, the daylight of ground level burst into view. The whole parking lot was swarmed with flashing cop cars, black armored vehicles, and cops in hard gear. The van came to a stop in the middle of all of it. Fuck, I muttered. The cops were moving in a hurry. It seemed like they hadn't quite formed a proper perimeter around the building, but they were close. We've got to go now. They're gonna form a... Wait. For what? Air. All around us, the cops were assembling, pulling their vehicles into place, leveling their pistols and rifles. I watched our few possible avenues of exit close up. The van just sat there. Karen's eyes were closed. She looked calm, at peace. Just a sick little girl taking a nap. I heard a sound, and my blood ran cold. I hadn't heard that sound in years, but there was no mistaking it. It was a sound that was etched into my brain. In the Marines, we used an app called Harpy to call in air-to-ground strikes. It was a wonky, over-engineered DoD piece of shit full of weird quirks that they were afraid to fix in the name of ultra stability. It made a little sound like a sleeping bird chirping when a friendly missile was incoming. It was time to put your stupid head down so that you wouldn't get all that expensive training blown out of your skull. About 2 seconds after that sound, something would light up, and a moment later, the sound of the blast would hit and the ground would shake. I heard that sound now coming from my set. My God, what kind of access did she have? Get down. A moment later, police perimeter around us became a wall of fire, and the van was hit with a boom that felt like earth splitting open. I put my head between my knees and let that old feeling flow through me, the shuddering rush of American air power being liberally applied. When I opened my eyes again, the van's safety windows had bowed inward on Karen's side, almost becoming liquid. Everything around the van was engulfed in fire and smoke. Slowly, the windows began to regain their shape. The van took off with a start, rushing blindly through the chaos. 2 minutes later, we were on the interstate, flying down the taxpayer lane. I was just sitting there, trying to remember how to swallow. It was unreal. Just unreal. She had called in a drone strike in the middle of Atlanta. The level of access required to do that was unimaginable. It meant completely basing the DoD systems. It was beyond any exploit collective. It was beyond governmental. It was planetary. It was God level. I was sitting in a van with an infraspace god.
The title, yeah. You ever see the movie or read the book Cloud Atlas?
Cloud Atlas. I think I've seen the movie. Does that have, what's his name?
Hugo Weaving.
No, I was thinking of something with,
Tom Hanks.
with Tom Cruise in it.
And that's Minority Report.
No, I'm thinking of something different.
Edge of Tomorrow?
Maybe.
The one where he keeps dying and coming back, Groundhog Day style?
Yeah, something's...
That's
I know that one.
That's Edge
yeah.
of Tomorrow. That's the only other sci-fi I know.
Yeah, and that's got, what's her name?
Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one I'm thinking about, Cloud Atlas, is Tom Hanks in, like, the 1950s, the 1800s, and the far-flung future.
Yeah.
It shows how a guy who made something in the olden times purported a certain way of understanding eventually created a virus that, like, wiped out humanity or, like, changed different aspects of humanity to the point that, like, scientists in the future had to develop a cure for humanity to survive. And, like, it's all the genealogy of this person across time, like a deep, deep, deep descendant across time. And it's just showing how, like, there's a through line in the genetics of people and their lineage to purport a certain cause.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is.
And there's something interesting about this story specifically about Ben's narrative where we're now entering like I said, like the Terminator side of this where it's like someone is meant for something because of the narrative that Mother has put forward. Like there are chess pieces moving and she's trying to cut them off.
And just because you're on the queen side and the king side, you're both bishops.
You're being told what side you're on very quickly, you know? And that's interesting as hell to me that the story wanted to do something like that. We're going to read one last part, and it's a new narrative. It's a two-parter called Alice.
So we're reading the first part and the next week will be... Okay.
62 is apparently the next part, but...
Oh, okay.
But it's still pretty close. This is 60, which one person named Angelica and another person named Friends and Home and Happiness.
I like Angelica.
So yeah, it's foreboding. Ha-hum. I love waking up in the morning to the smell of fresh biscuits. The warm smell fills my dreams, a smell like friends and home and happiness. I wake up to see the sun so bright and lovely in my window. Hello, day. How are you?
Biscuits.
Every day is bright and cheery when you share a house with your best friends. I can hear them downstairs singing and having fun. After a long night of spooky old dreams, it's good to be awake again in a cheery, dreary sunlight. I unlock my bedroom door and go out into the hall. Some of my friends have left fresh piles of biscuits in the hallway, several different kinds. Wonderful! I breathe in the smell and make chirpy little sounds of glee. Hee hee hee, another day. Chester Barrington comes up the stairs looking very handsome and somber in his tuxedo. "Oh, Chester," I sing, "how is the gentleman today?" Chester nods to me, gruff but debonair. "Proceedings are afoot, Madam Alice. Proceedings are afoot," he grumbles and makes his way down the hallway. That Chester, so self-serious. On the stairway, Brett Turlingshire and Nancy Fairworth are in each other's arms, a lover's embrace. "Oh dear," I cry, "I'm afraid I've interrupted your tryst." "Oh, madame, nonsense, this is no tryst. This is a destined love affair," Brett proclaims in his ringing voice. He looks dashing in his fine striped coat. "Brett, darling, Madam Alice doesn't want to hear all that gooey talk," Nancy says in her sassy southern accent. "I'll leave you two be," I say, lifting the hem of my nightgown and hurrying past them. When I get to the bottom of the stairs, I hear Brett murmur, "I wish the madame would find a destined love affair of her own. She is a noble woman and deserves someone to treat her well." "You just worry about treating me well," Nancy purrs, nuzzling against her cheek. I scurry off before they catch me listening. In the downstairs parlor, Raymond Dex, Montrose Pardonsmith, and Elise Rapier are having tea together. The smell of biscuits fills the room. A fresh heap of toffee-colored scones covers the coffee table. A wonderful selection of pastries lies in the corner, and several of the chairs contain more treats. "Hello, dearies, how are we today?" "Can't complain," Raymond says. "Splendid," Sir Pardonsmith intones. Elise merely lets out a little sigh. "Elise, are we not feeling well?" I ask, coming over to where she is perched on the arm of a couch. Should we be? Life is but a vague dream which disrupts the sleep of death," she murmurs in her smoky French accent. Let me try that again. Should we be? Life is but a vague dream which disrupts the sleep of death. Fucking cat.
Kitty found a lighter.
Kitty's gonna light this whole place up. "Oh, Elise, must you be such an existentialist?" "Je ne sais pas un existentialiste," she mutters, getting up and stalking off. "Poor Elise," I say as she leaves the room. "She is affected by that peculiar continental ennui." Sir Pardonsmith observes, "I say she needs a dose of sturdy American optimism." "Her birthday is coming up soon. Perhaps we should throw her a party," I suggest. "Ha! A party for Elise? That would go over like a bar mitzvah for Goebbels," Raymond says. "Oh, Raymond," I say, tousling his orange hair. "Well, we'll have to figure something out for her. I don't like her moping about." "She's an inveterate mope. There's no changing her," Raymond says. "You may be right, sir," I say, sighing. "Well, c'est la vie. Not everybody can be as happy as I am." Some years ago, I was much like Elise, down to the dumps, a real gray cloud. Then I met a lovely young woman who happened to be passing through my neighborhood. Her name was Angelica. It had been a long time since I had enjoyed the delights of society, but Angelica had a very mature, soothing presence, despite her youth. I lived a large house where my family had once resided but was now empty, so I asked her to stay with me, and she accepted just like that. Can you imagine it? Two strangers just making a home together? It must have been kismet. She was my precious angel treasure, absolutely heaven sent. I had been something of an existentialist myself, disbelieving in God and thinking his creation a cruel trap for human prey. But then he saw it fit to bring Angelica into my life, and I never doubted him again. I found her company such a balm that I decided to open my home to whoever needed a place to stay. Singletons, couples, whole families have stayed with me. Many children have been born in this house. Though dear sweet Angelica has long since passed away, her friendship is still a daily gift to me. For on the day I met her, I made a choice to simply not feel sadness, or worry, or fear ever again. And I haven't. Do you think it impossible? It is possible. If you simply surround yourself with loved ones, that's the secret. With all these thoughts in my mind, I walk into the kitchen to see Reginald Strongton, Linda Mercy Chowder, and Marshall Futz clamoring for their breakfast. "Madame, I'm famished," Reginald cries. "Oh dear, madame, we starve, we want, we waste away," Linda says in a tremulous voice. "Oh, Mercy, I left you with a kingly feast last night. Have you eaten it all?" I ask. "It was not us. We had not a bite. It was that Chester Barrington, the scoundrel," Reginald cries. "He is a voracious and utterly selfish fool. I found him down here helping himself to your generosity, and when I tried to serve myself the smallest morsel, he attacked me. Attacked me, madame! My nose still smarts. Oh, that Chester does have an appetite, but I find it hard to believe such a gentleman would attack you." I'm on the verge of swooning," Marshall croaks. "All right, dears, let's have ourselves a proper breakfast," I say. I get a bag of cuisine from the cabinet and pour it into china bowls for Reginald, Linda, and Marshall, and myself. I clear off the love biscuits that somebody left on the kitchen table, and we all sit down to eat. My cat is going nuts.
Yeah, like...
My little friends immediately proceed
boredom
with
overwhelms
chow.
the cat.
My little friends immediately proceed with chowing down, and I am about to follow suit, but I notice something that brings me a wonderful thrill. There is a stranger standing in the doorway to the kitchen. I've never seen her before. She appears to have snuck into the house alone. She stands there, tense and alert, her yellow eyes taking in the scene. I am breathless. She is beautiful, extraordinary, exquisite. She reminds me of my sweet Angelica. Oh, lovely day! I am about to have a new friend. Alice is nuts.
Yeah. So I feel like, and it's weird because there's a balance, right? The whole thing has been weird.
Yeah.
But there were definitely a couple of these chapters that were weird for the sake of being weird.
Oh yeah.
And
Black Jesus, are you kidding me?
Yeah, like we already had the neo-Nazi era, we had the SS era, like why do we need to have...
I don't think either of those parts are weird though. They are hugely informative.
Well, sure,
That
absolutely.
one that I just read, that one that I just read is not informative.
Yeah.
It could be an old woman talking to her cats.
Yeah. The demon tree. Demon penis.
That was a one-off.
Yeah. There was nothing else.
There is no other part
like,
to
it
that.
was just weird for, like, weirdness' sake. And it definitely felt like... You know, and again, obviously there's two more parts to this. So we're not even anywhere near, like, the finish line. But it's just like... You know, almost like the Dragon Ball Z thing. Like, we're spending 3 minutes powering up.
Filler.
Yeah, you know, like we're... Did he map this out as, I need 100 episodes? You know?
I don't think we'll know the answer to that until we're done. But
That's fair.
But I do want to think that the 100 is a confinement.
What date are we on?
Yeah.
Can you check that?
Yeah, I can.
Because I think that's something that...
Where we begin and where we end.
Yeah.
The past
Because honestly, some of the weirder chapters may have been some like the 2 a.m. chapters, 3 a.m. chapters, you know, like authors getting into it and he's just like, I'm going to make it weird because I'm fucking toasty and buy's closed.
May 18th.
May 18th.
18th
Okay.
at about 6:30 p.m.
So we're almost a month in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I do get what you're saying. I think when we get to the end of it, we will more or less be able to analyze narrative by narrative.
Sure.
I don't want to do it yet because we don't have the full picture.
Yeah.
But there are things I've seen on those websites that say, and I'll share this with you, who is in which narrative.
Okay. Okay.
Because it says in Ben's narrative, like, Karen Castillo.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the other part that you read, it references Karen Castillo.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, that's the only snapshot I saw before I was like, oh, I shouldn't look at that.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, I'm going to save that for the end. I hope that's going to be like a shoelace kind of tightening the narrative at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
So there is overlap, but
Yeah.
I do agree with you that something like Demon Penis Land is just creativity.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
just unbridled creativity. Is it a far-flung sidestep dimension
Yeah.
that will not come up again? Most likely.
Sure.
But is it relevant? We don't know.
Yeah. I mean, all of it's obviously tied together in the same way that, like, we are creating portals to different universes.
Right.
You know, like...
Is
like,
that just another reality through which someone is, like a kid is observing
Yeah.
the interface? You
Yeah.
know, like... But it's so weird. You know, we're living a Cloud Atlas, Minority Report, Terminator, fucking Total Recall future in Ben's narrative. But at the very same time, we're interlocking it with the author's narrative, which is just, I'm drunk sad guy living in house writing shitty story.
Yeah.
Like...
Mother doesn't love me.
Yeah.
Here's horse, you know...
Yeah, horse
Here's
face.
Alice.
Yeah, here's Alice talking about probably her cats, is how
Yeah.
I felt about that. So it's like... And then we get the cat narrative, which is like, I found a hygiene bed. I have to figure this out. Like, no you don't, cat. You're a cat.
Yeah.
Be a cat. I'm looking at this cat, and I'm just like, be a fucking cat. Be a little furry accordion. So anyway, I still like it. I still like it a lot.
Yeah.
I think this episode was fun. Getting to see the end of the SS narrative.
I would say quite a few narratives.
Was just as befuddling to me as when we ended the fucking Iwo Jima narrative, or when we ended. There was another one we ended that I was like, shit, that was crazy. Like,
Yeah.
we've gotten so far in this story, but it's still... There's narratives we haven't touched yet.
Yeah.
There are one-off narratives that we haven't even touched yet that are just going to show up, do a thing, and fuck off.
Yeah, we've asked more than 50% of the questions, but we definitely have not asked 100%.
We do not have 50% of answers either.
Oh yeah.
Like,
we're probably not going to get 50% of the answers until the last section.
We might still get to the end and still not
still
have answers.
yeah.
I'm okay with that though.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not. There's a part of me that I want to say like 5 years ago in this show, this probably would have pissed me off a little bit.
Okay.
Like back when we were reading ABCs and I was sitting there going, how does this all deal with one another just to get to was demons? Like pissed me off.
Yeah.
Same. I think now I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing where this guy is going.
How well was this? Yeah. Constructed?
Because some of these are incredibly interesting. I think Cloud Atlas is the closest thing I could compare it to because it is a past, present, future narrative that's all being linked together under some vast conspiracy of LSD nonsense. And like, I am into that. I am into the MK Ultra, Stranger Things, what's on the other side of this. What I am worried about, and I'm not going to, like, get into all of it, what I am worried about is it ending in a very, like, banal and that's it kind of way.
Yeah.
I want it.
Well, but
I
there's...
want it to end like Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
I want it to end
There's
like...
so much of
did
the...
Godzilla
you need to stop
actually
her.
survive that? Like, did we not stop this the way we thought we did?
Yeah.
Like, this thing can regenerate. This thing, like, we can atom bomb its fucking face, but it will come back stronger and angrier like a fucking tumor. Like, like, I don't want this series to end with finality. I want this series to end with a big old question mark. But it's not going to piss me off because I think this narrator has to end the story. We know that 100 is the end.
Yeah.
What interests me is finding out what he deems
Worthy
the end.
of. Yeah.
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 And that's interesting to me because I haven't felt that way since Left Right Game. Like, the entire time I'm reading Left Right Game, I'm like, if this road can take you anywhere and every left equals a new right and a different universe every time, what universe are we going to end up with next, and when is the story going to end?
Yeah.
When does the story deem it's going to end? And I will tell you, and I'll spoil this for anyone who hasn't read Left Right Game, it really... the narrator just leaves. The story does not end.
Yeah.
The narrator just stops telling the story, and all that we find is the diary that was left over from when the story took place. That's how I want this to end. I want this author to be like, that's all I have. I'm tapped.
Time for the next prophet.
I'm tapped.
Yep.
I did my LSD binge. I am done with my drunken nights. Something in me has changed, and I no longer have a connection to Mother. Signing off.
My name's Matthew. Go find Mark.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be killer. That would be a killer way to end this, and I hope hindsight us in like 3 weeks doesn't get to that moment and say, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be was demons. I think that's already
I would say
pretty
that's
clear
out the window.
that's not what's happening.
There's obviously a little bit tied in with like the biblical end of the world. You know, but that's not necessarily like a was season.
Though.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
like,
actual demons.
Yeah, that's
just,
like historically accurate.
It's what people think is demons.
Yeah.
Someone could interpret Mother as a demon, but that's not what she is.
Yeah.
She's, an entity from another realm, which in me is still like a Lovecraftian thing. It's not. It's not a.
Sure.
It's a god presence.
It's the what were they? Not glowing eyes. Glazed eyes.
Yeah.
Glazed.
Yeah.
I'll give you some glazed eyes.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hey, I got a mission for all you out there this weekend.
Okay.
Go find yourself a whiskey sour. Enjoy.
Okay.
That's the whole mission.
That's the mission.
That's a whiskey sour.
Okay.
If you've never had a whiskey sour before,
a couple ice cubes.
maybe
it's a good time. Finger of sour, and then like 2 fingers of whiskey, and you're good.
Sure. I was gonna say from a bar, have a professional make it.
Oh, I like to do it myself.
Well, you're a whiskey drinker.
I am a whiskey drinker.
Yeah. If you are a whiskey drinker and you make your whiskey sour,
you could do
no
this.
problem.
Yeah.
If you've never had a whiskey sour before,
maybe
have a bartender make it.
Bartender actually
and communicate with that bartender. Say, hey, I've never had a whiskey sour before. I'd like to try one.
Because I have seen some really bad whiskey sours before.
Oh, for sure.
A dude gets done pouring 3 fingers of whiskey and then just very quickly goes sour.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, no. I want a little mix. I need some variety.
Want some flavor.
I do.
Sour adds the flavor.
That's the reason I'm doing the sour in the first place.
Otherwise, I would do literally anything else.
Yeah, I mean, do I actually want to get you drunk to read the narrator's part? Yes. Yes, I do. Am I going to? No. Or else we'll never get through this story.
I was going to say, shit, I'll do it to myself.
I think being high is fine, because I think even like the first part we read today was like, welcome to addiction. When you know you need something to numb you from existence,
Yeah.
I was like, we both raised our hands, like, yeah, thank you. No, I think elevating yourself as a part of this story, as a part of the narrative, the fact that it's driven by LSD, I think it makes me want to do LSD less. If I'm gonna level with you, I don't think I could do acid.
You're like
after reading
removed.
this story.
Yeah, you're like, it's too real.
I'm worried that if I do acid after reading this story, that I'm gonna see Mother Horse Eyes standing outside my house.
You
know, like that's where I need.
For like years.
No, I mean for the rest. I do not think I can do acid again because I think I'm going to see Mother Horse Eyes. Like that is where I'm at because that is the type of. That's the creep factor of this story.
Yeah, it's...
The creep factor of this story is that drugs are your mind playing tricks on you. Like, drugs are like, admissible only as much as you allow them to be. Like...
I mean, I've already mentioned it. This story has absolutely sunk into my subconscious.
Yeah, you've dreamed about aspects of it before.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I think that right there, Chef's Kiss, is the note of a good story.
Correct.
If a story can linger with you, if it can make you think, if it can make you feel, then you're doing a good job. I still, even now, look back on something like Pen Pal or Baraska, and I go, shit, like, we're living in that. Like, we are living in that world where kids are being abducted, kids are being taken, they're being killed, no one's batting an eye. Like, that is like, it is the mark of a crazy story that makes you feel like it's real. And you have to remind yourself, like, no, this is fiction.
Oh, fuck. It's raining.
It's raining.
My sunroof is open.
We gotta go.
We gotta go.